time for maybe one quick patrol before the mission ends, or maybe we don't. Okay. We will see. Probably won't get any action in this mission. I might get a chance next time. I caved in and picked up Battle of Moscow on sale. So I still don't have the Yak 1B. I'd like to get that, but not yet. But I do have some extra planes to play with now.
Hey, Lucas.
I don't remember where my horizon reference is for level flight in the app. I think it's between the two uppermost pairs of bolts on the screen. Looks about right. I've only just started up, so not a lot happening yet. This mission's just about finished. I kind of joined pretty late, so we're just kind of tooling around, seeing if we can get a last-second shot at a German, which I probably won't. I doubt I'll even see one. About 10 or 15 minutes in the mission, less if the Germans don't actually destroy an objective. I think they're nearly out of aircraft. There. Yep, there we go. We win. GG. Easy. Didn't have to do anything. Switch mission any minute now. There we go. Looks like we outnumbered the Germans a bit. Quite a bit. See, I'd play the Germans more often if I was any good at all in any of their aircraft, but as we saw yesterday, I am hot garbage with the 109. Did a bunch of chores earlier today. Told my dad that I wanted to earn 80 bucks, so he's assigned me a bunch of chores to do. Gonna finish up in the morning so I can get the Hornet. Nice! Yeah, the Hornet should serve you pretty well. It does a bit of everything. It's pretty good at dogfighting. I don't know if I'd say it's the best dogfighter, but it's certainly up there. It's probably the easiest aircraft to dogfight in. Maybe the second easiest, it depends. I guess for certain playstyles the Mirage would be easier, and for other people the Hornet. But it's a good flexible aircraft, it does a bit of everything. Basically the only thing in DCS that you might need to do that it can't do is logistics. Like, you can't transport stuff in the F-18, obviously. But otherwise, you want to do strike missions, the Hornet will do it. You want to do seed, the Hornet excels at it. You want to do cap, again, the Hornet excels at it. It's got a very flexible weapon choice, as opposed to other aircraft, like the Mirage, which, for instance, has very short-range missiles. Oh boy. Oh boy. Assist mission. Last time I flew this mission, I escorted an A-20 up to, like, all the way up here and then doubled back on the warehouse. He got shot down trying to bomb that, so I just came back here and tooled around this area and I got 3 kills in one flight. I'm not expecting to replicate that, but I certainly wouldn't complain if it happened again. Oh no, I do get to use my new plane. Ooh, I'm going to be hot garbage at this, but let's try it. We'll have a quick look at the specifications for it. September, so we'll go with probably summer camo. I think the ground's still green, so we'll go with summer camo. Stall speed between 159 and 175 kilometers an hour. Everything's in kilometers an hour for both Soviet and German aircraft because they both use metric, and it fucks with me. Like, I can have the numbers here and I understand that, like, I get it. But having to do the conversion in my head between metric and imperial, because I think in imperial when I'm in the air, is really difficult. So while I might know, for instance, in the Yak 1 and the Yak 7, my VNE is 710 kilometers an hour, I have no idea how fast that actually is. Like, I have no concept of how fast I'm actually going at that speed, other than it's like 400 and something miles an hour, but I have nothing to compare it to, is what I'm trying to get at. It's really difficult for me to try and visualize it in my head. Like, having the numbers is useful, but it's difficult for me to actually put that into practice because it doesn't sink in, I guess, is the way to say it. 750 dive speed limit. 12.8 G. Fuck, this thing's sturdy. .270 is my corner speed. Takeoff and landing speeds are about normal. .2050 RPM. 1040 Mercury. Supercharger's single gear, so I don't have to worry about manually shifting that. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Engine has a boost mode, which is engaged by setting mixture control lever to maximum position. Interesting. Single stage supercharger. Engine mixture control is automatic when the mixture lever is set to the intermediate 50% position. Aha! Excellent. Okay, so it's automatic like the Spitfire. Good. That makes my life easier. Although it might mean I'm a little smoky at times. Engine RPM has an automatic governor. It's maintained at the required... Yeah, okay, so it's constant speed unit. Water and oil radiator shutters are manual. Airplane has only pitch and yaw flight control trimmers. That's fine. Yaw trimmer's good. I don't care if it doesn't have roll trim. Automatic wing slats. Yep. Landing flaps have a limiter for the maximum angle. Pneumatic actuator. Flaps can only be instantly extended to the angle which is set by limiter. Gradual extending is impossible. Due to the weak force of the actuator. Okay, so it's like the Yak. So I should, theoretically, be able to drop the flaps at any speed, and if I'm going too fast, they won't take damage because the airflow will just force them back up against the pneumatic system. Theoretically, that works with the Yak in this game. I'm going to assume it works with the MiG-3 as well. Airplane has a tailwheel control system, which is unlocked made controllable by the rudder if the rudder pedal is pressed. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. We'll assume that's the same as the Yak. Plane has differential pneumatic wheel brakes. Yeah, that makes total sense. Fuel gauge, which shows total remaining fuel. Possible to open and close canopy at high speed due to strong airflow. No emergency release, just like the other Soviet fighters. Bombs are installed. Don't care. Not bombing anything. Don't care. Not rocketing anything. Right. Let's set this baby up. Yeah, I did. I decided I may as well. I can eat rice for a couple days if I have to. Fuck. Yeah. Let's go with a pair of BS. I'd like the Schwarks, but the ammunition's just not enough. Schwarks don't have tracers. Yeah, okay. That kind of seals the deal then. We'll go with... You know what? We'll go with full fuel, because I fully expect to be flying for a while. Have a look at the paint schemes on this baby. I've actually... this one here, this skin, I've got a die-cast large-scale model of that aircraft, which my parents bought me when I was a kid. I can't remember how old I was. I think it would have been about probably 12 or so. It's like a really big model, and it sits on a base with a pull string on it, so you can wind it up and the propeller spins. It has a little retractable gear and everything. That was the first time I ever realized that the MiG-3 was the thing that existed. Oh, that's a pretty cool scheme, although I don't know if it's going to work that well over the Caucasus. Oh, sorry, it's this scheme with the silver nose. That's what it is, the model I've got. It's at my parents' place in my room there that I stay in when I visit. I might get pictures of it when I go out there next week. We'll go with this skin. I do like the Soviet two-tone black and green camouflage. So the automatic mixture control on this should be nice coming from the Spitfire. One less thing for me to worry about. I'm gonna have to reset my head position, so we'll pull the view out and close the lid so I can calibrate properly. I can't put my head up much, it's quite a low slung canopy. So we'll put it about there. We can reset it in flight if we have to. Just make sure this is set to 50. It's not... The detent is slightly out. Hopefully it considers 49% as 50. I don't know. Because I can't get it to go to 50. That's right on the edge of the detent. There we go. It's probably not going to stay there though. This thing does have an extremely long nose, so it's going to be interesting to land for the first time. Quite a nice cockpit with backlit instruments. Ooh, very nice. I gotta say, a lot of the Soviet Warbirds had quite good cockpit layouts. Well designed, nice and clean. Simple. Better than the fucking Germans at any rate. Okay. I think this whole area to my front is basically runway, so... Oh, the tail wheel actually unlocks with the rudder input. Ah, that's clever. I like that. Oh, no. The torque is extremely powerful out of this engine. Extremely powerful. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. We're gonna spawn a new plane, because I suspect I broke something. It's fine. It's fine. Didn't happen. It was all a dream. So what I might do is I'll trim the shit out of the rudder as well. That view's not too bad. Just slightly pull my head down for the gun sight. I already had the P-39 going. The P-39 comes with Stalingrad, I thought. I'm rubbish at it though. Kuban? Okay. That's when I got it then. Because I pre-ordered Stalingrad when they first announced it. Then I picked up Kuban somewhere along the way, like a couple of years later, when I couldn't actually play the game, but I knew I was going to get into it once I had a working stick. Alright, temperatures, not bad. Visibility's not bad. Rearwards is decent, actually. Like, really decent. The only real issue I have is these sidebars. But that's not too bad. That and the fucking radio antenna. And of course the view over the nose is absolutely abysmal, but coming from the Spitfire I'm used to that. Particularly the Mark 9. It's got quite a long nose. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bear the lack of armor in mind when it comes to dealing with aircraft with gunners. I must be, like, cursed, or I just present too easy of a target for the AI, because every time I attack something with gunners, I get shot or the engine gets shot. Doesn't usually end well. Want to hear a funny meme? Is it my flying? In my defense, I could probably do it much easier with, like, I could probably do it with the Mirage without really even trying. The Su-33 is one of the harder planes to do it with because it's, like, it has fly-by-wire, but it doesn't auto-trim, so it's not like the Hornet or the Mirage where it just automatically compensates for airspeed. The Su-33, you have to be flying it on the trim hat, even at the best of times, and trying to do that and manage the speed, manage 50 other things, in an aircraft that generally tends to seesaw up and down is a nightmare. I haven't tried it with a Tomcat yet, but I expect I'd have difficulty in that too. Probably less than the Sukhoi, but enough to be frustrating. Oh, I am just bad, but like the Su-33 is one of the worst aircraft to try and do that with. Well, I say that, but the Harrier is probably worse again. Because the fucking refueling probe is behind you, over your shoulder. It's going to be interesting for the F-16 when that comes out. I suspect as well, in-flight refueling is one of those things that the VR people can do easily, but everyone else struggles with. No, I know it's not, but I suspect that for a lot of things it is a significant improvement. I was talking to Crocodile, was it last night? Yeah, last night. And like we were discussing the relative merits of VR versus track IR, because he uses it, he's used it for a while. And he was watching me struggle to keep eyes on people in the MiG-21 the other night. Like he was saying, although you have worse resolution, it's sometimes easier to spot an aircraft because you can see the movement relative to both eyes instead of just one. You know, you don't have the peripheral vision you have in real life, but you still have more than track IR because, for instance, me right now, I'm focusing on the center of my screen. So, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if I go back and watch my VODs or Tawny's VODs of us fighting, I'll notice very clearly an aircraft out the corner of the, you know, on the corner of the screen, which I can see plain as day watching the video. But while we were flying, we missed it totally because we were just looking at the wrong part of the screen. And as well as that, you know, having the depth perception and the whole two eyes, you can actually see around the framing a lot easier in the cockpit. But VR is a long way off for me. Aside from the fact I'm kind of waiting for the technology to improve, I can't run it. My PC would catch fire, and I can't afford it anyway, so it's on the wish list, but it's on the wish list for wider fairways in the future. Okay, we're going to start booking in now. Using them 500 IQ War Thunder tactics, side climbing off the edge of the map. It's actually more or less the same flight profile I flew last time on this mission, the one that netted me the 3-kill flight. Except in this case I was escorting an A-20 up here. He flew all the way out to the edge of the map, climbing like this, and then hooked in towards the warehouse from well behind their lines. He got shot up by flak, I kind of circled around, nothing showed up aircraft-wise, so I went down to patrol the front and I bagged myself 3 very careless, very clueless 109s. That was very early on in the piece, before I had a handle on how the yak behaves as well. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, by the time I can afford it, it'll probably be as good as, if not better than, the display I'm using now. So there's always that to look forwards to. I honestly do want to see like a special mission or two which does have an I-185 in this, like maybe 2 total for the entire team. I just want to see the I-185 in this game. It's such a wonderful aircraft. But the Germans would no doubt complain about it, and they'd want some special prototype of their own. Which is fair, I guess. More Chaika with 20mm Schwarz. Oh, that would be disgusting. Oh, I'm kind of flying out of the, not out of the combat area, but well over the... Oh, help! Oh, what do I see here? Oh, it's friendly. It's an A-20. Well, we're his escort now, I suppose. I'm going to fly ahead of him a bit. That is true, they did get the K4. Just like DCS, the German players always get their fucking end of the war, Twilight of the Gods bullshit. Likewise, they got the 262 before anyone else got their real fast stuff. Releasing the 262 before the Mustang was a bit of a yikes. I know why they... well, I mean, I have an idea why they did it. And it's sound business practice, because you know that the Warbirds are all going to blow their wallets on it, but still. Bit of a yikes from me, dude. I don't usually come up this high, and the clouds, words are hard. Clouds are quite low today. Alright, we're gonna do something really stupid, and we're just gonna... oh, no, I probably shouldn't do that here. I'm actually quite far over their territory. I was gonna say, let's explore the cockpit, but we'll do that later, when we're not in a dangerous area. Or at least not so far into it. I'd say that is Krasnodar, up there, up that way, towards that big lake. Certainly looks like it. I want to head a little further southeast. This thing is running at a fairly decent power setting, and it's still running pretty cool. I mean, it is like 5 degrees outside, but still. It's kind of unsettling coming from the Spitfire, where you have to manage the shit out of the engine, to the Soviet birds, where you basically don't touch your prop pitch, ever. And you only occasionally need to adjust the mixture or the throttle. And then it's even worse going to the Germans, because all I have to do is move the throttle and it bamboozles the fuck out of me. But I also prefer to have, like, full manual control over the engine, to be fair. Because a lot of the time I want to do stuff that the Commando Charette won't let me do. Our tanks down there, I think. Okay, for the P-47, 7-axis if you want everything manual. Yeah, I gotta say, I really hate the P-47's cockpit layout. It is so bad. It's just a clusterfuck. Or at least I remember it being a clusterfuck. It's like they took random instruments and just kind of sprinkled them around in a line. I find it much easier to read if they're grouped together by function, which is why I like the British cockpit so much, because they were absolutely standardized on that kind of thing. Climbing again. Interestingly, my fuel gauge is reading full. I don't know if that's because it only reads like the last so many liters of the tank, like the Yak, or if something else is going on with that, but we'll trust it for now. Okay. Tanks and vehicles. Not even sure I'm going to see anything up here, to be fair. Seems the Germans are all hanging out in the weeds for once. Going over our tanks and vehicles now. Definitely got to say I'm liking this thing so far once I get it off the ground. The getting off the ground was a bit sketchy, but otherwise seems quite nice. Oh, that's a really ugly seam there. I don't know if you can see it, but the LOD on the ground terrain hasn't popped. So there's like an actual gap between the near terrain and the far terrain. Figure out if there's a way to fix that. It's kind of unsightly. This is I mean, DCS is technically an old game just with a revamped graphics engine, but This is also a relatively old-ish game at this point, so it's understandable that it has some little graphical hiccups like that, but still it is kind of ugly. I'll have to see if I can fix it somehow. It has better radiators to the arc, or than the arc, sorry. Especially the oil, you don't need to open as much. I can close that a bit down. Make it 35 maybe. Water can be a problem at high altitude where the MiG engine still produces plenty of heat. The coolant evaporates at lower temperature. What are water temps sitting at right now? Can't find my water temp. It's probably one of those bottom two gauges. Have to zoom in a bit to read it. Either way, the needles all look like they're around the middle, so she seems pretty happy at the moment. Excuse me for a second. Just making sure my music's still running. Kind of quiet there for a minute. Paratrooper thing, I'm not sure if that's going to be AI transports bringing paratroopers in, or if there's players doing it, or what. Either way, it seems like it would be a fun place to lurk around and wait for some Junkers to appear. It's a green one? Okay. I mean, if I was over friendly territory, I'd just put the thing on auto level and start reading all the cockpit text, so I knew what was what. I have a decent idea of what's what from just looking at it, but the layout's fairly similar to a lot of the other Soviet aircraft. We'll look back around. A nice lazy turn. So they're trying to land paratroopers on a fucking mountain. That seems legit. That seems really legit. Let our sync rate get ahead of us a bit there. Gotta get better at coordinating my turns in this. If I'm looking away from the front of the cockpit, I tend to get a bit clumsy. What a lovely deep valley. Germans aren't outnumbered this time. I don't know where they all are. Not here, apparently. Yeah, pretty close to it. The front is very similar, although the 185, to my knowledge, certainly in the original IL-2, doesn't even have the little reinforcing bits at perspex. It's just straight up one transparent bubble on the front. But the front panel's very similar. It's a very kind of clean cockpit, the 185. There's not a lot to it. It's very easy to find things. And for such a small aircraft, it seems like it would be not roomy, I guess, but certainly not cramped. It doesn't have these sidebars either. It's like, it's not a bubble, but it's not a heavily framed canopy at all. Basically, all you've got is just a single bow at the front and rear of the hood, and that's it. Very, very well designed cockpit. Although you do have the same kind of view problems over the nose, both because the cockpit's set quite far back like the MiG-3, and also because the Shvetsov radials are quite large engines, especially the M71, it bulges out. And then you've got the humps over the guns and the ammo feeds in the front as well. But yeah, it's pretty similar. Very, very good visibility in the 185. To the point where when I first saw its cockpit, without seeing the actual exterior of the aircraft, I thought it was a modern stunt plane. Alright, you know what, we're over relatively friendly turf at the moment. We're going to just auto level and take a look around. So, let's see. What's the key binding to disable the mouse? It's not that. I don't remember. I was going to disable the mouse so I can use the pointer to demonstrate. Let me just check. I don't think that's it. Maybe it's not under here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there is a binding to disable the mouse look, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, so from the top left we've got our altimeter in meters. We've got our directional gyro, artificial horizon, boost pressure on the engine, so manifold pressure, fuel tank, airspeed in tens of kilometers an hour, well, hundreds, so say the 10 marker there is 100 kilometers an hour. Turn and bank indicator, vertical velocity indicator, or vertical speed indicator, revs for the engine, and the prop since it's got a constant speed unit. The outer scale on this is oil temp. The left inner scale is the oil pressure, the right inner scale is fuel pressure, I believe. Davlenia is pressure, I'm pretty sure. In the context of the fuel and oil systems, that's our clock, obviously. Little empty space there. That is air pressure, I think, for the brakes, left and right brakes. Water temperature, oil temperature. That little thing down there, I'm going to guess is the, it's one of the radiators, I'm not sure which one. Those are our landing gear indicator lights in the center there. test button for it. That's the pilot's oxygen system there in front of the stick. That's the landing gear lever, up and down. I'm not entirely sure what that is. That might be prop pitch, I think. Yeah, I think that's possibly prop pitch. I'm not entirely sure what that does. Oh, carburetor, I think. Or air source or something for the engine. Don't know what that switch is. That is an air pressure indicator for something. Outer thing there is your throttle, and the bottom thing is your mixture, by the looks of it. And the settings there are air, ground, and boost. Don't know what that is. Possibly trim. That lever, I think, might be flaps. That's probably trim down there as well. Trim for something else. Not sure. Indicator for zaslonki. Oh, that's the water radiator indicator. That's what that is. That shows the position of the water radiator. And then that's, I think, your primer. So yeah, pretty simple aircraft, nice clean cockpit. Over here we've got our radio set, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the radio set. Oh, no, that's the bomb setting. The thing with the star on it is the bomb setting. Then you've got your circuit breakers above that. Okay, yeah, and then you've got your two light switches, so cabin lights and exterior lights, I believe. That is the radio down there, I think. And you've got a switch there for transmit, receive. Flare gun, that is your trim. So the outer one is your rudder trim, and the inner one is the pitch trim. Which would probably make that flaps then. Take the auto level off. Where are we? Oh, we're a bit out. Out of the way. Thankfully no one bounced me during that. So yeah, the I-185's cockpit layout is very, very similar. I get better at coordinating these turns. They are very, very sloppy. Temps are still good. Very good, in fact. Don't really even have to worry about them at the moment. So we'll see if we can figure out what our nose reference is, or our cockpit view reference is for level flight at 450 kilometers an hour. I think it's about halfway through the gun sight glass from my default position, or maybe actually just slightly above the nose. That's pretty convenient. Yeah, that's where it is right there. Got an IL-2 on the way to their tanks, so I might start heading over that way. It'll probably attract some attention. So my maximum dive speed, I think, is 750 kilometers an hour. And apparently a 109 on the deck will outturn me relatively easily if he knows what he's doing. Although I've noticed a lot of 109s on this server don't know what they're doing, so maybe we'll get away with it. From the description in the briefing, it appears that the flaps are very similar to the axe, though, so I should be able to drop them whenever I need them for combat without damaging anything. It's still very difficult to get in the mindset where I can just drop my flaps and not worry about them, coming from Spitfire and Hurricane, where the flaps are only down if you're landing, and they do not come down above 140 miles an hour. I guess the pneumatic system that actuated them was a bit more powerful than the one in the Soviet fighters. Eating Ross just got 2 new people into DCS, one of which has never played a flight sim before. He's doing rather well. Nice! Always good to have more people in the community. There are definitely not enough flight simmers out there, so every new person we can get hooked on it. Geez, that doesn't sound good. It sounds like I'm peddling something, but you know what I mean. It is an expensive habit, I'll say that much. I am in my first... Don't say anything, chat. I'm in my first flight in the MiG-3 at the moment. So, just getting the feel of the aircraft, having a bit of a look around, and we'll see if we can find some unaware Germans to mess with, although more likely I'm going to die. Pretty much digital crack, yeah, basically. So the little call sign I have before my name in DCS is Circus, right? Circus 1-4. The reason for that is because my army unit decided we needed a call sign for when we all fly together in DCS, and Gilson sarcastically suggested Circus, and we ran with it. And the first time we all flew together in multiplayer proved it was the best possible call sign, because G-Man tried to take off, we were all in MiG-29s. G-Man tried to take off with only one engine lit in full burner. He barely made it off the ground. Gilson had a lag disconnect right as he was about to rotate, and it instead went skidding sideways through the entire parking area of Sukhumi and wiped out at least one Hornet in the process before cartwheeling across the parking area and blowing up on the grass. I barely made it off the ground, and Dibbo was circling around overhead, watching the whole thing, and trying to figure out who the survivors were. I don't do drugs because of flight sims, can't afford it, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I haven't had a drop of alcohol in like 6 months because of flight sims, amongst other things, but largely because of flight sims. Hopefully I'll be able to sort that out soon. I could do with a good beer and flight stream. Of course, I would never do that in real life. I'm not that irresponsible. Beers and bombs. Army unit? What do you mean? Oh, armor, as in armed assault. No. No, I left the Army Reserve, like, what? 7.5, 8 years ago? But, I play Arma 3 with a bunch of guys. We mostly play as a Soviet airborne unit, although we do a bit of everything. That's our sort of main thing. Okay, so those German tanks and vehicles should be down that sort of green area. Start heading that way. I've yet to see a single German aircraft. In fact, the only aircraft I've seen since taking off was that A-20 right at the start of the flight. My fuel is starting to creep back now, so we might have just enough for one fight and then head back home. Oh yeah, that should be glorious. And then mix in the usual mass chaos that happens in Georgia at war on top of that. It'd be absolutely brilliant. I'm on Wings of Liberty. Okay, so yeah, it's that branch down there, I think, that their vehicles are down. Not that river, I think it's that patch specifically. Right there with all the buildings. Yeah, I remember now. That's where I shot down 2 of my 109s on this map last time I played it, or this mission. Rio doesn't know how to operate the IFF interrogator as well. Who needs IFF, dude? Just fucking launch them all and let God sort them out. Isn't that the Georgia at War Tomcat mantra? ACM mode 6 Phoenixes and just fucking see where they go. It's like Razbam's gonna make the 2005. Yeah, I heard the ADA were kind of getting on their case about wanting it. Oh, hello, that's German yellow traces. I also heard that they wanted the Rafale as well, so that should be interesting. Okay. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to pick this guy up, but I definitely saw German tracer fire. So we'll come off the power a bit. I don't want to overspeed myself. Check my 6. I'm good. What I'm hoping is it's somebody engaging like a fucking Peshko or something, so I've got an easy visual reference to work with. See anything. It's definitely tracer fire, and it was definitely German. And we're over their territory, so he was probably engaging a bomber of some description. We're going to climb back up. I don't want to be circling around at low altitude. So their tanks and vehicles are basically right under me at the moment. Fuel's okay for now. Probably got about another 5 or 10 minutes of loaded time around here before I head back. I don't want to chance it too much because I don't know how fast that gauge is going to drop. I think I just saw something back there, but it's hard to tell. Oh, there's definitely something down there. Several somethings. Need old mate to distract them for a bit. I think that might have been a friendly. It's hard to tell. No, I'm over their tanks, I'm pretty sure. Maybe we have local air superiority, who knows. What's a smoky boy? Ah! Is that one of ours or is that one of theirs? It's really hard to tell sometimes. Not sure if it's a grey camo yak or if it's a fucking 109. Slotting in behind. Lost sight. That looks like a German. Someone's bat-phoning reinforcements. Is my tail okay? For now? Maybe? That's a 109 for sure. What has its lights on? Fuck, it's hard to tell. Okay, this guy's diving in. I'll try and stick with him since I know he's enemy. Oh, no, there we go. I'd say that's a 109. No, it's not. That's a yak. Okay, maybe we do have local air superiority. I'll stick behind the yak and see what he shoots at. Smoky boy here. Yep. That is a 109. This airspace is a bit crowded for my liking. Oh shit, there's another one behind those guys. Led too much speed there. I don't think I'm going to catch a 109 now on a climb. Hopefully my tail's okay. Yeah, that yak's after him. I need the yak to cover me, honestly. Got 2 specs up high. Could be this guy's mates. Too far out, honestly. And he's dragging me. Probably for them. We're gonna bug out. Temps are good. I think he's turned back in. I can't really tell from here. No, he's still climbing out. Okay. No, the people in this server use their lights to bat phone their allies, so if they've got an enemy near them, they'll just turn their lights on to attract attention, and to give an easy visual reference to work with of where the enemy is. Okay, I'm still good. Yeah, they are. The lights are fucked in this. Although, the thing is, the lights in this aren't proper dynamic lights like they are in DCS. They're actual textures like they were in the old IL-2. Whereas I recall them being in the old IL-2. So, that's why they appear so bright from a distance, is because it's not a light source, it's an actual texture. Which doesn't scale with distance like a natural, or like a proper light source would. Yeah, I'd say we got away from him. I don't know if I landed any hits there, but we at least gave him a bit of a scare. Hopefully bought that yak some time. I do like how this thing handles. It's a nice aircraft. I think I'm going to be flying it a lot. Don't know if I'll fly it more than the Yak, but I'll certainly fly it a lot, especially on the mountainous maps where, you know, it's nice to get some good altitude in. just gonna quickly auto-level because I think my music may have stopped again. No, it's just really quiet. Really quiet. Okay, we want to head southeast. Or southwest, rather. Tail's good. This thing's visibility behind itself is so good compared to basically everything else I've flown so far, honestly. Now they attack our tanks, of course. Okay, we are flying from Agoy, so we'll kind of sort of head that way. Yeah, really. I don't know, I reckon if you could get the I-185 in this, you would love it. Like, better visibility than this, and very good performance, like LA's, late model LA5 or LA7 level performance in 1942, basically. But sadly never entered widespread service. It did have combat trials. I think they built like 5 or 10 of them. And the pilots loved them. They thought they were the best thing since sliced bread. But sadly the LA5 was just more economical to build because it was literally just a lag-free airframe with a Shvetsov radial slapped to the front of it. One of the actually working Shvetsov radials, because the other issue the 185 had was that the engines it was originally designed for, the M88 and the M71, both Shvetsov engines, but they were both plagued by development problems. The original M88 version, I believe the M88 was the original version, or it could have gone the other way around, but the M88 was to have a ducted spinner as its cooling thing. Like, it was going to have a ducted spinner to get airflow over the engine, so it would have been really interesting looking. It would have looked very much like, say, one of the late war Arado night fighters with that. That was something the Germans experimented with as well, but didn't really do much of. And then the M71 version had a traditional spinner, quite a large one though, and it had kind of a bulbous nose to it because the M71 was quite a large engine in terms of diameter. There was also the kind of compromise version, the M82, as the M82 was the engine that actually worked, and was to be the engine that went on to power the Lavochkin fighters, but by then they kind of realized that the project was just not progressing to where it needed to be to outweigh the economic and time constraint benefits of producing the LA5 instead. And the performance was excellent for when the aircraft was designed and went into trials, but by the time it was kind of in a state where it was producible, the LA5 was getting up towards that kind of performance anyway, and eventually ended up surpassing it, so there wasn't much point. Real shame, because it was a beautiful little aircraft. Real interesting gem of Soviet aircraft development. And if those things had appeared in any kind of substantial number when they actually should have appeared, the Germans would have shit themselves, because it was like easily comparable to a 190. Easily. Obviously at low level, like pretty much every Soviet fighter, it dropped performance rapidly with altitude, but at low level she was a monster of a plane. And very small, so it would have been a very difficult target. First FW-190 prototype had a ducted fan as well. Cooling wasn't enough, so they dropped it. Yeah, Yeah, the actual, like, the fan itself remained on the 190s, and in fact a number of German aircraft, I believe. And the Lavochkins also took that. So the LA-5, the LA-7, the LA-9 and 11 all had ducted fans on the front. But the actual, yeah, the spinner on the 190 prototype was fully ducted, I think. I think there was a 109, I think it was the ME2, sorry, not a 109, the ME209, which was kind of like a really radical redesign of just about the entire plane, which was originally used for a world speed record, and then they were planning on making it their next generation fighter, but it never got to fruition. I believe that had a ducted spinner as well. No, I just want an I-16 with that engine. Well, that's the thing. Polikarpov's designs were all very distinctive, very similar. You could tell when he designed something by the shape of it. So you had the I-16, which we all know and love. The I-180, which was essentially a slightly larger I-16, but basically had the same planform. And that had, I think, an M88, I think? M80 or an M88 or something like that. And I think it had a actual, like, proper canopy, but they just removed it anyway, so it was like the I-16 with the open cockpit and just the windscreen on front. That's been added to War Thunder relatively recently, actually, if you want to see what it looks like. And then the I-185 was a development of that, and the I-185 very much has the same look. It's very stubby, with the cockpit set quite far back, you know, the fat tail surfaces, and the big wings. It's not quite as cartoonish in proportion as the 180 or the I-16, but it does have that same look. It's very, very easy to tell who designed it, and I'm totally off course here, as usual. I'm kind of surprised as a PVO interceptor this thing doesn't have a radio compass, but I guess by the time the RPK was in widespread service, they were phasing these out anyway. I actually probably could have hung around for quite a while. We've still got quite a lot of fuel left. This has quite good endurance, because I think I am carrying full fuel, that's right. I was going to say, I thought I only loaded partial fuel, but we're full. Oh, hello. Hello. That is a outbound Peshka by the looks of it, but we'll gain some altitude, just in case. Nope, that is an outbound A-20. Quite heavily loaded A-20. Sorry dude, I would escort you, but I need to land. So this should be Agoy, just down here. I think off the nose is Tuapse. No, that's Agoy there, my bad. Tuapse is that. And it looks surprisingly similar to how it does in DCS in this, actually. Massive clean on my computer the other day and accidentally deleted the IL-2 folder in Steam. Oof. Ouch. I've actually got a couple games where I have duplicate folders from the amount of times I've shuffled them between hard drives. So I should probably clean that up. Gain some space. Come off the power a bit. Still a bit fast to open the lid. There we go. Let's kind of circle around here and do a straight in down the valley, I think. See how this thing lands. Hopefully it lands easier than it takes off. Cross our controls a little just to bleed some airspeed on the way in. Oh great, there's enemy around. Technically I've got the fuel and ammo to fight, but I'd rather just land, to be fair. Coming in a bit fast, so we'll cross the controls a bit again. Get some drag happening. Il-2 Kuban? Yeah. Well, the map is anyway. It's the Caucasus. So you may recognize some areas, especially along the coast from DCS. A lot of the town layouts are different, obviously, because they got rebuilt after the war, but general layout is the same. Guess what we forgot, chat? Guess what we forgot, chat? Well, it was a beautiful landing. Oh, someone just got bombed to fucking back. Oh, there's the offender there, I think. It was a very nice landing, other than the lack of wheels. I suspect these red handles, I reckon those are probably your emergency gear. Because the MiG-19 has a similar system. There's like 3 cables with D-rings on that you pull, or 2 I think on the MiG-19. 15, sorry. 19 is a crank like the MiG-21. Well, other than that, it was a good flight. We'll take the same again. Successful landing. The game called it a successful landing. That's all that matters. It was totally fine. But she's really well behaved. That was an easy approach. Like, really easy approach. It is a nice aircraft. A lot more stable than I was expecting at that kind of speed. Okay, we're just going to make sure everything's reset. I'm not going to be able to get this to sit at 50. If I bump that, it's going to drop back to 49 because it's right on the edge of the detent. And that is a detent that I can't remove, and I don't want to remove. Oh! Cool, we spawn next to a massive fuck-off crater. Excellent. Slats help? Yeah, definitely. I can imagine they would. She's got nice big ailerons. Yeah, it was totally successful. Don't worry about it. It was all good. It was the most beautiful landing ever in the history of beautiful landings. So, I'm gonna... It's hard to see from here. I'm trying to figure out which is which. This is the oil radiator? Okay, yeah. That's the oil radiator and the water is the center line. So I want to keep that tucked in because that would be quite draggy, I would imagine. 35% is probably... Actually, I could probably go less. Let's go... 25 for now. It was fine. It was perfect. Didn't happen. Alright, you're probably going to watch me fuck up a takeoff here. I think the key for me taking off in this is just going to be gradual application of power and a lot of trim. And and tap the brakes now and then, both to get the nose up and to get the aircraft turning left again. Oh, we're flying like a drunk. There we go. There we go. Right, we are going to climb to the moon and go fuck up that bomber if we can. Yeah, I love it. And it's in the correct firing order of the engine too, for each aircraft. So each exhaust stub will light up at the correct time for each piston firing. A lot of sims have the same effect, but I think Il-2 does it best. Cliffs of Dover, it's a bit overdone. And DCS, I haven't really noticed it as much. I know DCS does have it, it's just not very well done, I think. Why am I bobbing from side to side? Is it my rudder again? I do have the denoiser on. There we go. It's sitting slightly out of its detent. Friend showed me dump and burning on the F-14 the other week. Yeah, I'm really glad that they put that in. Technically, according to the instruction manual, NATOPS, you're not allowed to do it, but it's one of those safety things, right? If Australia had bought the F-14, I guarantee they would have been dump and burning over Sydney Harbour Bridge just like they did with the F-111s. Incidentally, if you've never seen footage of an F-111 dump and burn, there was an air show at Williamtown, I believe it was the F-111's last air show at Williamtown. They did a spectacular display, including several bump and burns, and someone was there with an HD camera. I mean, at the time, HD cameras weren't very common. So yeah. But also, the F-111 dump and burn is extremely impressive, so if we ever get one in DCS, you'll know it. So the Tomcats dump and burn in DCS, yeah, it's cool, you see a stream of fuel and a bit of flame. The F-111, you see a jet of fire, like a full-on jet of fire, about the length of 1.5 or 2.5 F-111s. And it burns so completely that there's no fuel vapor left. It is just a giant flame and nothing else. Same, Tarnfalk, it would be fucking incredible. I want more two-seater aircraft in DCS in general, and a two-seater strike aircraft would actually make me interested in flying strike missions. Like, the Viggen's a great plane, and I'm glad I have it, but I almost never fly it, because I'm just not that into ground strike. But having a friend along for the ride would be fucking amazing. I'd love that. Open our water right a bit. Can it work to overwhelm an IR missile sensor? I kind of doubt it, to be fair. I think more than anything it would just attract the missile's attention more. The things already dive on the sun and on flares. Like, the thing is, a lot of the issue with trying to get a missile to go for flare instead of the aircraft is getting the temperature right, because especially with more modern missiles, they can distinguish between a flare and an afterburner, because there's a distinct difference in temperature. I believe a flare burns quite a bit hotter. 1531. We have an airfield at 1531? Oh, artillery. I can read. Whatever. We're going to climb and see if we can find this Phantom bomber up here, and if we can't, we'll just turn back up to the mountains. That is Tuapsa down there. Very much similar to DCS. The only difference is that it's all like little single-story houses instead of apartment blocks. Big refinery there, as in DCS. people pay attention to the NATOPS for that sort of thing. Some people do. Some people yell at me. Are my lights on? No. Some people yell at me because I have a habit of taking off in burner, which you're not supposed to do in the F-14B, but I don't care. I don't do it from the carrier deck, I only do it when I'm land-based. Yeah, the F-111 dump and burn routine was a staple of basically any public holiday in Australia while it was in service. Especially Australia Day and New Year's. They dump and burn the thing over the harbour bridge at night. It was fucking spectacular. I only wish I got to go see it in person. I'd seen them fly over, but I hadn't seen the actual dump and burn in person. I never got a chance to, which I really regret. It's one of my deepest aviation-related regrets, one of the others being that I never got back to the UK in time to see XH558, the last flying Vulcan, while she was in the air. Because she just stopped flying when we moved to the UK, and she just started again a couple of years ago. And I haven't been back to the UK since we moved out here, which was, what, like 22 years ago. I'm going to turn in here. Let's see if we can find that guy. I don't know what altitude he's at, but probably pretty high. Placing your face into the radar scope of the F-111 and BR would be awesome as well. Yeah, I want them to put more glare hoods on the old school aircraft radar scopes. That'd be fucking sweet. Okay, here's over Lazarevskoye. So we might see him as we approach it. He's going to be really high though, I reckon. It's a 111 apparently. Speck of dust there, but I don't see him yet. He's not in the cons. I wish he was. It would make my life a lot easier. Fair few ex-pig maintainers, and they were always working public holidays. Start 6 just have one be serviceable for the display. Yeah, I can imagine. I can definitely imagine that. Fucking Tawny would have been up at the crack of dawn, getting his hands dirty. I really wish now, like, hindsight is 2020 and all, I really wish that instead of trying to go to uni, because everyone's like, oh, you're really smart, you should go to uni. Didn't know what I wanted to do, still don't know what I want to do, so it was a total waste of time and money. I wish now, instead of that, I just joined the fucking RAF as, like, a maintainer or something. I wanted to be a fighter pilot when I was a kid, but my eyes are shit, obviously. But even just as a maintainer now, I kind of realise as I get older, anything to do with aviation would still be better than literally any fucking civvy job. And it would have given me some real good fucking employable skills too, as opposed to Mr. I'm going to join the infantry, because it sounds like a challenge. Oh, it fucking well was, but I didn't pick up anything useful in Civvy Street. RAF crushes your hopes and dreams. Do not recommend. Mate, fucking Civvy Life crushed my hopes and dreams. Getting information for 111 should be fairly easy. Aussies have a lot of information it's not used by anyone. It's old, so what stuff should be available? Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Yanks still have a shitload of airframes sitting out at Davis Monthan. The only potential catch, and this is why I think ours got cut up, is because it was nuclear capable. I'm not sure if ours were. I think they probably had the bits taken out to make them nuclear capable, but that might be a sticking point, and I believe that they were mostly scrapped specifically because of a mixture of start and they didn't want the Iranians getting the TF-30s for their Tomcats. Oh, hello. It's probably one of our guys, I reckon. Is that P-40? Might be, I don't know. like, I'm gonna be real, I don't know why the Yanks are so fucking neurotic about the Iranians keeping a couple of old, like, Tomcats that must be near their fatigue lives, if not over them, in the air. Like, who gives a shit, honestly? Yes, it's a capable aircraft, but what's Iran gonna do with them? It's not like they've modernized them to F-14D standard, they're still fucking F-14As, they'll compress a stall if you look at them, Connie. Half the systems in them probably don't work just due to, you know, sheer age. The Iranians have done well to keep any of them flying, but I really don't get why the US obsesses so much over them not getting spares. Like, what the fuck are they going to do with them? Of all the countries in the Middle East, I don't know why everyone obsesses over Iran as the next big threat. Like, I really do not give a shit about Iran. And you would think I'd be biased because, oh no, Iran doesn't like Israel. I don't give a fuck. Like, if Iran tries anything, Israel can stomp them. Defensively. I don't think they're stupid enough to try and invade Iran, unlike certain other people. But, I just don't get it, man. It's one of the few relatively stable countries in the region, and it's actually less religiously batshit than most of the close Western allies in the region anyway, so who gives a shit, man? I'd rather be dealing with the Iranians than the Saudis. Much rather. But what do I know? Guess they're still scared of the Phoenixes. Half the Phoenixes they have are not going to work because the batteries would have gone bad. The ones that they were able to get new batteries for, big whoop. And then it doesn't matter anyway because the Iranians went to the trouble of figuring out how to bolt a fucking Hawk onto the thing and get it to talk to the AUG-9. Like, even if they don't have any Phoenixes, even if you run them out of Phoenixes, and they shot a lot of Phoenixes during the Iran-Iraq War, so that's most of their stock gone already, they're going to figure out another solution. Like, big fucking whoop. Alright, I'm gonna just... I think that bomber's probably... Oh, no, he's over at Goy again. I'm just gonna level off here and fly in that general direction. And, catch up on chat. Honestly, wouldn't be a bad aircraft to keep in mothball. Does his mission really well, and if anything did happen to be one fairly effective, even against modern defenses. Yeah, that's, like, there was a huge spat over whether they should retire the 111s when they did, because it was the most capable strike aircraft in the entire Asia-Pacific region, at least until the Indonesians started getting Su-34s, and even then, I would back the 111 with Australian crews in it. Like, that was part of what kept the Indonesians from getting too sporty during Timor, is that they were scared shitless that the RAAF would send a bunch of F-111s through and bomb the shit out of Jakarta, and they would be not able to do anything to stop it. Like, they wouldn't even know it was going to happen, let alone be able to do anything about it. The Hornet's a very capable aircraft, but it just does not have the strike capability of an F-111. Even with the F-111's outdated system, it still can't do it. Because it wasn't built to do it. It's great at all sorts of things, and it's not bad at strike, it's just not an F-111. Combination of nuclear capability and massive range sealed their death for Australia, because we have to appear to be defensive and not an aggressive force in the Australia-Pacific region. Which is fucking stupid anyway, if you look at our current fucking leadership's attitude towards the rest of the countries in the Pacific. Oh, it's alright if you guys drown, because your youth will come here and work anyway. Like, what the fuck kind of bullshit is that? If you're gonna go with that kind of foreign policy, why bother appearing defensive? That's not fucking defensive speak. Been escorting 22s over Syria. There's video online. Also, Iran can block the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, for fuck's sake. Lost connection. Hopefully the stream didn't drop. Block the Strait of Hormuz. We'd had been actually starting to get along again, but then Trump came along. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. F-22, 35 of their 4th gen with AIM-120Ds would wreck them easily. Yeah, exactly. Like, the Phoenix is a good missile in certain respects, but let's be real, it's not all that. It's certainly not what it is in DCS. Like, the 120D is the better missile these days. One of the Russian... the 24, SU-24. Which I would also love to have in DCS. We have it as an AI, but not flyable. Massive, lots of space to have nuclear power plants far from population centres and electronic transfer infrastructure, as well as very isolated end-of-life storage. Has the money to actually pay for it all. Coal power is pretty cool. Yeah, the coal lobby is basically God in this country, and you don't want to hurt their feelings, and so you basically have to fuck over your relations with the entire Pacific so you can delete all references to coal or climate change. Because it might upset your coal lobby mates. It's so ridiculous. Like, this country is betting all of its economic horses, or all its, economic dosh on a fucking horse that is dead and gone. Like, no one really is going to be going towards coal in the future. They're trying to get away from it. And they can talk about clean coal, which doesn't exist, all they want. It's not going to change the fact of the matter, which is even the worst polluters like China and India are trying to get away from it themselves. In fact, China leads us in renewable energy, simply because they realize that's where the growth is and that's what they need to invest in. Whereas this country is, like, Australia has this problem where it's perpetually led by idiots with, like, zero capacity for forward thought. I don't know what it is about Australia specifically, but it's unbelievable. This country is like just a comedy of errors. At every level of government. One of my favourite examples is the New South Wales state government buying a bunch of new trains without actually checking that the trains would fit any of the platforms in Sydney. And that was a bit of a whoopsie. But this stuff's regular in Australia. Like, for a while, I think it was during the 70s or 80s or something like that, Australia was one of the world leaders in fibre optic technology for communications. And then the government decided to defund it because what are you ever going to need that for, right? Then there's the NBN, where we finally decided to build a national... Why is this not loading? Finally decided to build a new national communications infrastructure, an up-to-date modern one to get around Telstra's monopoly, which is all ancient copper, and which Telstra could charge through the nose for use of. So they decide to do that, and then the government, specifically the Liberals, but Labor didn't exactly plan it out very well either. Government decided, oh no, we don't need high-speed communications infrastructure. What would you ever want that for? Why is my game frozen? Yeah, and then they axed the funding to that, and now Australia is lagging behind developing nations in terms of communications, which is just fucking unbelievable. Just fucking unbelievable. And the way the NBN is set up, I guarantee you in about 10 or 20 years' time, if not less, the government's going to look at it and say, this is expensive, we can make money out of this, we're going to sell it. And they will do exactly what they did with Telstra, which is sell the whole thing without breaking it up, and there'll be a second instant monopoly. I'm going to restart my game because it appears to have frozen. Bear with me here, guys. Yeah, it's definitely frozen. So yeah, like, Australia is just an absolute clusterfuck. Expecting them to go to nuclear power is not going to happen because the coal lobby is too powerful, and a lot of environmental... Like, I get that environmentalists tend not to like nuclear. I understand. It's, you know, if something goes wrong, it's not great, and the waste you have to deal with basically forever. But there's plenty of places we could keep that waste where it's not going to be an issue, because guess what? There's very little tectonic activity in Australia, unless you're on the coast. So it would basically be a non-issue, but they don't want to do it because the Greenies have the idea that all nuclear accidents are Chernobyl, when Chernobyl was like an, oh my god, how did they even let this happen kind of thing, which, like, the sequence of events that led to the Chernobyl accident are so outlandishly unlikely
I feel fairly safe in saying that will never ever happen again. It's like literally not possible for that to ever happen again. It's one of those things where it's like a 1 in 10 billion chance, and it was just bad luck that day that everything lined up perfectly for that to happen. But, you know, so they don't want any nuclear at all. The coal lobby doesn't want any nuclear at all because that would cut into their profits. God forbid. And something I think I mentioned on stream before is I remember seeing a cutout from a newspaper in the US, and this is like going back in the 70s or 80s, and it was this long diatribe about how nuclear power is evil and it destroys the environment and you have to deal with the waste forever and all this, that, and the other. And you'll look at this tiny print down the bottom of this, and it says this was paid for by the, I think it was Long Island Oil and Gas Company, or Long Island Oil and Gas Company it was. Funny that. Like, I'm of the opinion that nuclear power is not the best option, but nuclear power is the most tenable option for now. So you transfer to that from coal to avoid the impending fucking doom that we're heading straight towards, thanks to Australia in large part. So that's just an interim. You use that to transfer from coal and oil and all the other nasty shit onto green energy. Because that's not ready yet. It's getting there, but like, let's be realistic. It's not where it needs to be to supply current usage. So you use nuclear as a transition, then when you don't need nuclear anymore, you get rid of it. But, you know, that would make sense apparently, so that's why we don't do it. Oh, looks like the server actually crashed, which is interesting. Well, I'm not brave enough to set foot in Tor. I'm nowhere near brave enough to set foot in Tor. I'd probably use up all of my lives just getting off the ground. And a lot of the other servers are empty. We'll give it a couple minutes and we'll just see if Wings of Liberty comes back up. That gives me a chance to catch up on chat a little more as well. Phoenix was built to shoot down bears with air-launched cruise missiles, and that's it. Yep, pretty much. I mean, the Phoenix can kill other stuff, but there's a lot of conditions on that. It has to be fired in the right place. The radar has to maintain lock right up until the last moment, or it has to be fired ACM very close. Like, this shit that works in DCS at the moment, of people firing 6 Phoenixes and then turning cold and them still hitting from 20 or 30 miles away, that's bullshit. That shouldn't happen. The Phoenix requires, if it's fired in track while scan, it requires communication with the radar up until, I believe it's 5 miles. It needs to be told by the radar to go active. If it's fired in single target track and you lose track of them, then you've just wasted the Phoenix, so good luck. But this is the issue in DCS at the moment. You can just lock up people sequentially, lock 6 targets in track while scan, bang, 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 launch off all your Phoenixes and turn cold and run, and every one of those Phoenixes will still track. You know, I've seen, there was a short video or like a clip or something of someone's TAC view on Reddit, and if I still had the link, I'd post it in chat. If anyone does have this, feel free. And it was a guy in Growling Sidewinder server in the F-14, and he just let go of 6 Phoenixes, basically ripple-fired 6 Phoenixes and turned cold and ran, and every Phoenix tracked on a different target, and only one of them missed. So he deleted 5 people with 6 to whom it may concerns, and turned cold and ran before they even knew they'd been fired at. But I can't wait until, if this happens, hopefully when the missile gets fixed and behaves the way it does in real life. I cannot wait for that day, because holy fuck, so many F-14 pilots are going to die, and they're going to whine and bitch, and it's going to be so beautiful. It'll be just, oh. Same with the F-14A. When that thing comes out and they all think that they're good at flying the Tomcat and they jump in that thing and compressor stall it and kill themselves, that's going to be hilarious. I cannot wait for that either. There we go. Wings of Liberty is back. Could also build massive solar farms in Australia. Some of the arid areas have insane solar days. Yeah, exactly. It would be the perfect place for it. But again, they won't do it because that would threaten the coal lobby. I mean, a single squadron of Hornets could probably shoot down all of Iran's F-14s with very few losses. Yeah, probably. Most of Iran's F-14s at this point, I'm going to say, are probably being cannibalized for parts. I doubt they have double digits that are flyable on any given day. and I'd be surprised if they have more than a handful that are flyable, period. Again, I've got to say, I'm really impressed with how long they've kept them flying. That's really impressive work, and how they've tried to engineer around some of the restrictions, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. Iran's native aviation industry isn't really capable of doing much beyond trying to extend the Tomcat's lifespan, and even that's going to be difficult for them because it's a remarkably complex aircraft. It's a very large 60s design, a very complex 60s design. Like, that kind of knowledge doesn't even exist in the West anymore. If you tried to maintain a Tomcat these days, you couldn't do it. It's like with the Vulcan, right? Technically, they could have kept 558 flying for another several years, but nobody would insure it. And they were on a limited supply of engines, basically, because the knowledge at Rolls-Royce of how to maintain, or God forbid, build a new replacement Olympus engine, gone. The last guy that knew how it worked had either died or, had gone a bit senile, to put it bluntly. The capacity is just not there anymore. Like, modern tech is amazing and impressive and all that, but the old tech is basically magic at this point, in large part, because the knowledge is gone. And there were a lot of little tweaks and things that were applied at the factory with that kind of stuff that never made it into official design specifications. It was just in the heads of the people that worked on the things, and now you've lost that knowledge because those people have gone. There's an enormous amount of things like that, and that's why people who say, oh, why don't we build a reproduction of this or that, especially, with, like, guns, people say, why don't we build a reproduction STG-44, or why don't we build a reproduction FG-42? Because that knowledge is gone. You don't know what specific metals they use, the tolerancing. If you don't have the papers that describe the tolerancing, good luck. Like, all the little adjustments made at the factory that never made it onto the blueprints, don't know them. And there's companies that have tried to do that in the US, and they haven't been able to, or they've only done it with great expense and difficulty, or they just haven't been able to. Because of that, the knowledge just doesn't exist anymore, and you have to basically trial and error it to figure out what they did. And even then, you can only get so close. Aren't there rivers suitable for hydroelectric plants? Water in this country is a very precious resource, but they did build a massive hydroelectric scheme back in the 50s, with a lot of the immigrant labour that came out after World War II from the refugees and so on. I believe they were planning on building, or there was talk of building a new dam, but it was not going to be very efficient the way it was being spoken about, so I don't know. I wouldn't say it's really all that viable. Solar is a much better option. But yeah, this country has water problems in general, so... Why am I putting that fully forwards? Punch out as much RF as you want, but if your radar can't filter and analyze the returns, it's ineffective. The AUG-9 without a better RDP unit or receiver. The Abrams not fitting on landing craft. Oh yeah, that too. That too. If you guys haven't seen it, I don't know if any of you are in the DCS Addicts multiplayer group on Facebook. I posted a clip in there from Pom's channel, which I think Nico made it. Pom land. Okay, so there's like 5 different levels of mindfuck going on here that only happen in DCS. The first one is that Pom was able to land a Hornet on sand in the middle of the desert in the Gulf without either sinking into it and cartwheeling or FOD. And I've yelled at Pom so many times for landing gear down off a runway, but he still does it. But yeah, so he landed in the middle of a field, or not a field, in the middle of like a flat, sort of sandy, scrubby area. In his Hornet, he had been fired on from 60 miles by a Tomcat in STT with a Phoenix. He landed notched to it, right? He landed more or less perpendicular to the direction the missile was coming from. The Phoenix tracked him down to the ground and clipped through the terrain about probably 10 or 20 meters behind him, clipped through the ground, exploded under the terrain, and blew his wing and part of his tail off. In STT. from 60 miles. Radar and DCS is fucked, dude. I remember, I wish I'd clipped it now, but I had a time on Just Dogfight where I was in the Mirage, and a guy had belly landed an F-15, like straight up belly landed it. Bits of the plane all over the ground because he hadn't done a very good job of it. And the RDI insisted on locking him in vertical scan and bore sight over planes that were actually flying across my nose. It just dived on him. It really wanted to lock him. A static target on the ground that was basically, you know, he's not moving. There's no relative motion there. He should have been in the Doppler filter. Don't ask me how the fuck that works. But DCS radar is just, like, really fucked, honestly. Which is a shame, since it's, you know, so important. We're just slightly off the runway here. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, exactly. Privatization good is about as far as it goes. They don't actually understand what they're doing. It's a mantra at this point, especially for the Australian government. If you look at the kinds of shit that comes out of them, it's clear they don't actually understand what they're doing on any level. They're just doing it because private good, public bad. That, you know, they actually make a tidy profit off of every sale of public assets, because even if they don't benefit directly from the lobbyists paying for their next campaign, they will benefit in 5 or 10 years' time when they retire from politics and get a seat on the board, or a huge amount of shares. No conflicts of interest there at all, obviously. Note to self, don't even think about moving to Australia. Yeah, no, don't. Australia's a nice place to visit, but for God's sake, don't move here. To be fair, I'd rather live here than the US by a long shot, but it's rapidly going the same way. To be fair, though, the UK, from the sounds of things, is even worse at the moment, which is a real shame, because I would love to go back to England. I miss it. I was really happy when we lived there. I really loved it, and I wish we'd stayed there instead of moving here. But from the way that I've seen things going over there and heard from friends that are in my kind of situation over there, I would probably die. I'd probably just fucking starve. Like, it's screwed up so badly. I'm so behind on chat, sorry guys. You guys actually got room to place waste and plants if something did go... Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a degree of problem there because a lot of it's traditionally Aboriginal land, and it was taken off them in very dodgy circumstances in the first place. So rightly so, they get a lot of input on what's done with it now, and understandably they don't want nuclear waste buried under their sacred sites, but at the same time, I'm not sure they would want their sacred sites on the coast to be under, you know, several meters of water, so I don't know. I'm not Aboriginal, I can't speak on their behalf at all. But I think that's something they're going to have to consider in the future if things go the way they are. I feel so bad for them. This country has been so badly fucked up by just economic and environmental mismanagement for so long. Never mind what was done to them in the first place. Seems a critical part of private enterprise competition, which they don't create. All they create is corporate welfare cases and monopolies. Exactly, that's exactly what happened with Telstra. Fucking monopoly. Why are so-called free market capitalists so bad at understanding what that's supposed to be? Exactly, and even the ones that will rail against handouts to larger companies will still go, like, foamy at the mouth at the mention of small business, I've noticed. It's like small business is this magical, untouchable entity. It's like the right-wing version of Think of the Children, basically. You just scream, but my small business, and they just, like, you know, a fuse blows somewhere in their brain. And apparently everyone who mortgages their house, which they weren't even close to paying off in the first place, to rent some shithole fucking shabby lot, or, you know, shabby fucking storefront in a dying mall to sell energy crystals in, when the business doesn't go so well, you know, in an area where there's no hippies, When the business doesn't go so well, apparently it's the government's responsibility to cut their taxes and bail them out by slashing workers' rights so they can underpay their staff and not pay fucking penalty rates for public holidays and weekends. Yeah, apparently that's a social responsibility to maintain the welfare of small business. Not the people who work for the small businesses, who are usually also the people that spend their money at those small businesses, and then they wonder why retail's in a slump, because none of the people who work in retail can fucking afford anything. As someone who did work in retail, like, I didn't shop at my own store unless I absolutely had to, because I couldn't afford it. And then as soon as I stopped working there and I no longer had an employee discount, I just stopped shopping there altogether and went somewhere cheaper, so there you go. Cute MiG-23, I cannot wait for DCS MiG-23. It's going to be awesome. Nuclear power's backup weapon against ecological devastation and shrieking habitats super evolved. yeah, you got to think ahead. You got to be ready for that shit. Try the I-16 in single player. I might do that actually later on. The teams are kind of stacked here. We'll just chill out for a bit since it's pretty quiet in the server. We'll wait for more people to join. And if the server doesn't start filling out again, I might do the I-16 in single player. I want to get the I-16 in DCS too. That looks like a really well done module. Just like back off the engine power a bit before I cook it. We'll come off the mixture as well. Yeah, that should be good, and we'll come off the revs. It's my oh shit, I should be on second gear. Skeptical about the propaganda claims of single AIM-54 bursting down 5 Mirages at once. Yeah, I haven't heard that one. The one I heard was of a trio of MiG-23s in close formation, which I could understand, and there are accounts from the Americans in Vietnam of single Sparrows wiping out 2 MiGs in close formation. So I could understand it, and I can kind of see it happening. But yeah, that kind of thing's hard to confirm. And even then, even if that happened and that's an accurate account, it's not representative of the missile's capability against a maneuvering target. It's representative of the missile's capability against 3 clueless MiG-23s in close formation that made no attempt to evade it. Because if they'd made any attempt to evade it, they wouldn't have died, right? Or one of them might have, but not all of them. If only you had the JS-39 could fly a meteor. I want the Draken. I really want the Draken. I think it's on the to-do list. I can't remember who for though. It needs to hand over control of the AIM-54 code to Heat Blur. Yeah. From what I recall, Heat Blur was saying it was because they don't have the missile API, they couldn't do it, something like that. But at the moment it's basically just a 120, a big 120, that's how it behaves, which is why it's so fucked up. Kept radioactive super kangaroos, they're already buffed, so imagine double that. Fucking hell, dude. Some of the roos I've seen, I wouldn't want to go near them as is, let alone radioactive. As for Hornets again, 12 superbugs with max AMRAAM loadouts like 140 missiles. Yeah, 140 better missiles. Make sure no one's climbing up behind me. British aircraft industry wanted their own swing-wing interceptor in the Tornado ADV. First production service versions flew with cement in the nose cone for years because the radar wasn't mature. Years. North Sea interceptors without radars. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's, yikes. Now that I got a good Rio, I'm probably going to enjoy it when they update the 54. I've been using it as realistically as possible within safety. Should be really interesting. I've still got to learn to use the Tomcat. I still fly it too aggressively. I'd fly into formations of enemy because I'm just used to doing that. I need to stop doing that. But to be fair as well, most of my Rios are in the process of learning. So by the time they work out what's going on in the back, I'm usually already on top of whatever we're trying to shoot at. Through no fault of theirs, just because I'm dumb and fly towards the first thing I see. Sorry. I'm having trouble speaking at the moment. Want the Iranian F5 variants in DCS? Yeah, that'd be nice, actually. Solar is nuclear power if you think about it. Next level, Marius. That too tiny cockpit mock-up plane to taxi around on the ground. I've got to give him points for trying, honestly. Like, respect where it's due. At least they're fucking trying, man. More than you can say for a lot of countries. I just want FOD in DCS. I want to see, like, Pom's thing where he shot down a pair of BK-90s in flight and the bomblets all went around him. If he'd ingested one of those into his engines, it'd be fucking hilarious. Like, I want that. I want flare ingestion, chaff ingestion, shit like that. The planes which in real life had trouble with gun gases flowing into the intakes, like the Mirage, for instance, the engine power drops automatically when the guns are fired, apparently. Oh, sorry, no. When a missile's fired, my bad. To avoid ingesting the rocket motor fumes into the engine, which is something that came out during talks with the ADA pilots. That kind of stuff. I want that all modeled in DCS. It makes it more interesting and more fun. Like, this, for instance, debris will kill you. Debris will wipe out your prop. Debris will wipe out your wings. Just, not yesterday, I think it was the day before? Or was it yesterday? I don't remember. Last time I streamed this, I had a flak burst wipe out a 109 in front of me, and as I flew through his debris field, his wing very nearly took my head off. It went right over my canopy and just missed my tail. Sometimes science in DCS reminds me of what science is like in Warhammer 40k. 30k? Warhammer 40k, just need to pray and light the right candles in your radar can lock anything. Yeah, exactly. It's, like, I noticed when I was on Just Dogfight the other day, the RDI wouldn't pick up anything over water, especially if it was actually, like, at a notch angle. But other days, it picks up everything, no matter what they're doing and what's behind them. It's strange. It really is some hocus-pocus bullshit. I'm gonna turn it a bit steeper and try and get over the front. Pray to the Emperor before flicking the Master Arm switch. I mean, why not? That's basically what I'm like with my PC. Like, I treat my PC as a sentient machine spirit, basically, and it's worked for me so far. Like, if my PC's misbehaving, I'll give it a very stern talking to, and usually it works after that. You guys may now see why I don't like flying glass pit fly-by-wire aircraft very much. That is, to me, what mechanical systems are to a lot of younger people. I mean, I'm not old, I'm not even 30 yet, but I'm very much an old tech kind of guy. It makes more sense to me. I can figure out mechanical things better than electrical things. Back to the loss of knowledge, some of those types of projects are literally just trying to recreate something from archive photos. Yeah, a lot of them are. And the other thing is the expense. Like, all of that shit was machined by hand. You can't do that anymore, it's too expensive. You can CNC it, that's cheap, but you've got to have the right drawings. And again, you don't have that sense of minor modifications that were made during the machining process. And then when it comes to stamping, the reason AKs are cheap to build is because the Soviet Union built factories the size of cities. AKs are not cheap to build. They're stamped, right? Stamping is not cheap. Stamping is fucking expensive now. For stamping to be cheap, you need a massive production run, you need proper dies, you need the proper equipment, and you need a very long production run. That is what makes stamping cheap. None of that exists anymore. CNC is the cheapest way to go. Stamping now is so outlandishly fucking expensive, it's small wonder that no one does it except the Russians who still have the machinery. Walmart's a small business. Yeah, under the right loopholes, it is considered a small business, because, you know, that makes sense in this day and age. We just live in an era where the real world is so departed from the world of those who run the place. It's unbelievable. Like, for instance, before I left my last job, I was talking with one of the duty managers about this kind of stuff, and the people that were coming into store manager level and above were people who had done retail marketing degrees at university had no idea how to lay out a fucking storefront, a shop front, to draw in customers. Had all these great ideas which everyone knew would never work. Like, it's kind of like why you need a senior warrant officer or senior NCO with a junior officer that's just come out of Duntroon or West Point or whatever the fuck or Sandhurst, whatever your country's academy is, to stop them from implementing all their good ideas, because they've seen it all before and they know they're really bad ideas. Businesses need that too, and politicians at this point, because it's just, they live in this fantasy world that everything is run by KPIs and all these weird metrics that are so easy to game. It's half the reason the Soviet Union collapsed is because their economy was this bizarre fever dream that had no marriage to reality, because people very quickly figured out how to game the plan, right? So all the numbers for the entire Soviet Union would go back up to Gosplan in Moscow, and then they'd plan things out from there. And you had quotas for stuff. And so you would work out, you would get paid more to do less if, say, you were a taxi driver and you just drove longer scenic routes, exactly like taxi drivers do in capitalist countries. Things like that, small exploits. Or some mid-level bureaucrat would decide, actually, this town doesn't need that many toothbrushes, so we'll just fudge that number a bit. And by the time it gets back up to Moscow through X amounts of, or X levels of bureaucracy, it bears no resemblance to the real world. Same thing with KPIs and shit like that, sales goals. And it's the same thing with the government. It just makes no sense by the time it gets back up there, because they're so head in the clouds about all this magical, trying to engineer society by numbers, or by an economy at this point, for a Western country. It's just don't work. Like, people who can't hack it in engineering go on to work in the business sector, basically. They love numbers and they love micromanaging numbers, but they don't actually know how those numbers marry up to reality. When I was working up at Newcastle University, I was on the company that was working the cleaning contract at that point. We had, like, twice as many people in the management office at the university that just sat there and twiddled their thumbs for half the day and occasionally opened like Excel or made a phone call. We had like half as many cleaners as we had management staff. So their office was full of people getting paid way more than we did, and we were doing the actual work. And then they wondered why we were falling behind getting shit done, because we didn't have the staff, we didn't have the hours. Same as retail, you don't have the hours, you don't have the staff. You can't hire people on without getting rid of someone. Half the people you hire on don't want to be there in the first place because they already know it's a shit job. It's just this vicious cycle, but no one wants to actually acknowledge the fact it exists and do anything about it. I'm sure you're well and truly asleep by now, but good night, Lucas. Sorry, this might be why it's recommended not to verge into politics in my stream, because once I get going, you'll never shut me up. Seeing the World War I aircraft being made in Australia, I thought that was New Zealand, unless they're doing that here now too. The Albatross that they were making, I think it was Peter Jackson that was running it, or like one of his sort of companies that he runs was doing it. The Albatross D5 is just beautiful. I would love to fly one of those. The Albatross is my favourite World War I fighter, and it was pretty much all I flew in Rise of Flight. I love that plane. Definitely the prettiest World War I fighter. That thing is to World War I as the Spitfire is to World War II. Just beautiful, sleek. Real planes have curves. Except the MiG-23, that gets a free pass because, Yeah, there you go, New Zealand. The Swedish pilots doing the lead-in photo reconnaissance in Libya. It was very surreal when the French and Italians ran out of bombs in like 5 days. Next time you see Gilson Purple in my chat, ask him about being given CAS by the French. He has some stories about that, and about why even the French army hated the French Air Force giving them air support. From what I recall, general British Army thought in Afghanistan was that the best two to have for air support were the Canadians and the Dutch, The French and the British were like the next level, but the RAF were very entitled and would decide whether they wanted to attack something or not. The French were like the next level from that, and would not even communicate with the ground forces if somebody swore on the net, and frequently wouldn't even decide to fly at all. And then the Americans would usually bomb you instead of whatever you were trying to tell the Americans to bomb. That was, you know, the general thinking, at least among the guys he was deployed with while he was in Afghanistan. F5 has those nice pop-up smoke detectors. It'd be interesting if those malfunction. Those are kind of a liability in a fight, though. Oh my god, they're attacking the warehouse all the way down there. We'll go deal with that. Because you've got like a slight delay before you can actually fire, and if you've watched Tawny fighting me when I'm in the MiG-21, he's in the F5, a lot of the time he would have a chance to shoot me if only he didn't have that delay. But at the same time, if you pull the first stage trigger and fly around like that, you're going to eventually bump the trigger and fire off when you don't want to. So it's an interesting design feature, and it's cute. I like it. But I'm not sure it's the best idea. Of course, having smoke and a muzzle flash at night in front of your canopy isn't the best idea either, but I think that trade might be worthwhile. Again, sorry I missed it, but capture around Echo, have a good one. Want the F5 to get an update pass for new models? Someone made a, like there's a whole bunch of skin work for the cockpit on user files, which improves a lot of the gauges and fixes a lot of the reverse specular maps and stuff like that, but I don't know if it passes integrity check. I don't have the F5, so I can't test it myself. Volunteer on a Steam tractor and about turn 22, so get on my level. I used to be really into Steam when I was in the UK because, you know, they had Steam Fest all the time. There's a lot of Steam tractors around here, actually, that people bring out to the local shows. I mean, I live out in the country now, so, like, decrepit farm equipment from 150 years ago is everywhere. People get that shit running just for a laugh. We, dug up an old Winchester. It was a 22 lever action, one of the old ones with, like, the octagonal barrel profile. Bent barrel, the action was all jammed up. There was still a live 22 round in it, just buried at my parents' place in one of the paddocks. So there's no way it can go off. There's nothing that can strike the rim of the cartridge. Dad wants to hang it on the wall somewhere, high enough up that if it does go off, it's not going to, you know, brain anyone. It'd be more dangerous to try and pry the round out than to just leave it at this point. Stuff like Volvo cars, you need to make 25,000 in this model, but you only get 85% of the resources to make them spec, yeah. That's part of the reason they kept the same models in their production runs for so long as well. Marius, I feel so bad for Gorby. I feel so bad. The dude loved his country. He wanted to do what was right for it. He saw that the Soviet Union was going to collapse if nothing happened, and he took a gamble, and unfortunately for him, his gamble didn't pay off. Shit sucks, man. And now all the tankies hate him, because they reckon he killed the Soviet Union, when really what killed the Soviet Union was the old guard never ever allowed any reforms through until it was too late. And that and the fact, you know, a planned economy on that scale just is a bad idea to begin with. And, all the fucking capitalists hate him because he was a filthy commie, so he can't win either way, the poor guy. Problem in Sweden... I'm so far behind on chat, holy fuck, okay. Sorry guys, good thing the server's nearly empty, hey. Big problem in Sweden right now with value of care due to new public management horseshit, which basically means hospitals and hospital administrations are hiring more bosses and consultants and spending less and less on care, never meet their budgets because they actually have to use expensive machines and surgeries to, you know, save lives, and that upsets the... Yeah, same thing here. That is the sort of early warning pains of a public health system that is under critical threat. That is how you can tell the government's trying to kill the public health sector. Same thing here. They deliberately underfund the system, They employ too many high-level managers, invariably coming from the private sector. And then they claim that the system's failing because public health doesn't work, when in reality the system's failing because they're pulling money out of it while simultaneously overspending on the part of the public health system that matters the least. Of course, because they've been told to do it by people like old mate, what's his name, that runs Bupa, all the private health insurers. By the way, we have like government subsidies for private health here. Why the fuck does that even exist? Don't ask me. And there are definitely faults with public health systems. They can't cater as well to weird illnesses. So if you have some bizarro fucking edge case illness, yeah, it kind of sucks. And you're going to have to, kind of deal with it, and you might have to spend your own money. But that's why that is in theory why the private health system is there. So if the public one can't cater to whatever you've got, you go private. That isn't what's happening though. And the whole system's just breaking down because of it. Like, my sister, and probably me by extension, I've been through this before, but my sister's got quite a, not a rare or abnormal issue, but it's rare enough that the public system doesn't cope with it well at all, especially where she is. And that's why I haven't bothered to get a diagnosis yet, because on both counts I'd be fucked. Especially out here in the country, there's just nothing to accommodate for it. But yeah, that's where a public health system does fall down, but the benefits of just having better general public health and having just a better quality of life in general so much outweigh that problem, it's not even funny. Yeah, and overbuilding too. They get so hung up on making them this grandiose statement when they're going to build some public building that they forget to actually make it functional. About transparent aluminium canopy. I mean, aluminium isn't very good armor anyway. You're probably no better off than you are with perspex. Some trucks to strafe. There's some tanks. I don't know about trucks. Oh. 08. I swear to God, they're now attacking the warehouses up north of me. How much fuel have I got? Not much. I really wish I had a second monitor so I could actually keep up with chat better. So I don't have to do this thing where I just tool around for like an hour while I read out what you guys have been saying. Fighting against AI MiG-23s and the F-14 has been quite interesting, with both of us having swing wings which can maneuver to fairly extreme degrees. I'm curious to see when the MiG-23 comes out, Razbam's MiG-23, whether they model something the East German pilots apparently found, which is, okay, so the MiG-23's wing sweep is a 3-position lever. It's manually controlled, there's no automatic system, and it's 3 positions, so it's not a continuous sliding scale like the F-111. You've only got 16, 45, and 72. But the East Germans found that you could kind of stick the lever between 2 positions. So they found that about 30 degrees, give or take, was better for dogfighting than 45. So I'm curious to see if that gets modelled in DCS. Pierogi? Dude, don't make me hungry. One of the things I miss about going home last year was because Alberta has, like, every second person in Alberta is Ukrainian, right? There's so much good food there, man. Oh, fuck, I miss it so much. Some Russian expat friends of ours used to have a little cafe here in town, and I used to love going there, but unfortunately, small business struck, and they couldn't afford to maintain it. They just didn't have that many people coming in. It wasn't really in a good spot. So basically all they had was us and the local Russian community plus whoever passed by from Sydney. And there is not much of a local Russian community here, so... This didn't work for decades until someone tampered with them. The problem is, though, that they were kind of riding off the post-war rebuild for a very long time. Brezhnev stagnated them. Like, Brezhnev was the worst thing to happen to the Soviet Union since fucking Stalin. But even if Brezhnev hadn't been in charge, it's very likely that they wouldn't have reformed until it was too late anyway. And there was a very, like, they were already going back onto the decline by the late 60s. By the time it hit, like, the mid-70s, when he was really in his prime, and Afghanistan happened towards the late 70s, the Soviet economy was a basket case. It was still riding off the earlier success, so it wasn't a total basket case, but it was, you know, you could see the writing on the wall if you were high enough up the government and, you know, not afraid of actually thinking outside of the party line every now and then. Not insignificant amount of Swedish tax money is going to Jersey, Guernsey, Bermuda, the Caymans, etc. to risk capitalist investor firms owning private care companies in Sweden that was sold to the public, as these 4 elder care workers want to strike out on their own and make it better. When the reality became one night watch elder care attendant for a ward of 20 people. Yeah, basically the same thing here. Bruh, I cannot wait for the fucking 23. I'm so hyped for that thing. Like, I'm as hyped for the MiG-23 as most people are hyped for the Tomcat. I fucking cannot wait. I was gonna say I'm surprised no one's bounced me, but I really shouldn't be because I'm just flying around in the middle of fucking nowhere in the clouds. Well, check our fuel state again. I've got enough for a... Oh, no, I don't. Down to 40 litres per wing. Svino. Where is Svino? That's way up north. We're going to head out to Olshanets and land there and then bring out a new aircraft because I don't want to get into a Scouch with fucking 40 litres per wing. Plus, more landing practice is always a good thing, right? We'll try and remember the wheels this time. Overstratus writes some nice technical details about 23 in Razbam's Discord. I need to join their Discord. I need to get in their Discord. Holy shit. I've been putting it off because I've already got like 500 million fucking Discord servers I'm in. I can't keep up with even one of them, let alone all of them. But yeah, I need to read through that. Worked with the planes in Cuba. With this ground crew, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I need to read that. It's interesting since the collapse of the Soviet Union, how Western opinion on the MiG-23, at least among people that actually, you know, fly the things, has kind of turned around from this thing's a dangerous piece of shit to this thing's actually good, you just need to know what you're doing. Whereas the public narrative, thanks to people like Sparks and company, is still, this is Russia's worst fighter, oh, it was so bad, oh my god, so terrible, like, no. It's perfectly good for what it needed to do. Yeah, the MiG-23 MS and Bobby Bond's fucking memorial checkout. 2 takeoffs, 1 fucking Mark II ejection, zip, and 1 landing. Because apparently, if you're a Vietnam fighter race, all you need to fly a complicated Soviet aircraft, which they don't have the actual pilot's manual for, and even the test pilots don't like flying, is a 30-minute over-the-rail briefing. And then go supersonic above fucking Yucca Flats, and not know that there's an electromechanical lockout on the throttle, or sorry, no, a hydromechanical lockout on the throttle to avoid engine damage if you're above Mark II, to stop you from cutting the throttle abruptly. So he got locked into full afterburner at like Mach 2.3 and ejected because he started losing control of the aircraft, because as it gets up around its maximum speed it becomes longitudinally unstable, just like the 21, just like the 29, just like the 27. And yeah, panicked, ejected at Mach 2, didn't survive the ejection, lost the Americans a precious Soviet aircraft which they could not easily replace. You can imagine how happy they were about that. Not only that, but a Soviet aircraft they supposedly didn't have and had to hastily cover up the existence of. We're nearly at Olshanets. So we're already back on the revs. We're gonna just cut the power back and kind of circle down. Oh, my music! I've been talking so long, my music thought I was dead. Can I tab out, please? IL-2. Please. Bruh. There we go. Nope. Debated. Alright, give me a second here. No, it's still going. It's just quiet. Where is the airfield? Should be more or less under me. I thought I saw it, but I was wrong. It's back behind me. Somewhere. I do have the RPK in this, but I have no idea how to use it in IL-2, so I should probably figure that one out. Hey, if I'm going to carry the thing, I should at least work out how to turn it on. The early 23s were kind of shit, the later ones are quickly learned how to respect and fight. Yeah, the early 23s were kind of heavy, and just had some aerodynamics issues. The ML series was where it got really good, because they lightened the airframe up while also strengthening it. And I can't remember if they introduced the dog tooth in the wings in the A, like the MLA or the MLD. I think it was the MLA. The one issue that I am going to have with the 23 we're getting is that it has the fucking SPO-10, which is a colossal piece of shit. I already hate the thing in the MiG-21, but oh well. I'll figure out something. Ah, there it is. I see it now. How's our fuel? Good enough. Actually gonna turn in here. And kind of sort of join a crosswind, maybe. It's not going to be a proper circuit. I don't even know the airfield elevation here, but we'll just kind of eyeball it in. '23's pilot manual apparently has tactics to use against F-15s based on Syrian experience. I assume this tactic is hide and go home. The MiG-23 accelerates like fucking crazy, so it probably abuses that fact. Like the Soviets for a while were using the MiG-23 as their aggressor aircraft. Oh well, this is fucking brilliant. Please don't shoot me down one landing. Because like the 29 accelerates really well, the 23 apparently accelerates better somehow. It has a worse thrust-to-weight ratio, but man, it fucking accelerates like crazy. Probably because it's shaped like an arrow when the wings are back. RPK auto-tunes to the nearest airbase, but has to be built into the mission. I think Wings of Liberty doesn't include them since they have GPS on the map anyway. Ah, gotcha. Oh, I love this song. This is good shit. I should probably actually turn my landing lights off, or navigation lights, since there is apparently a German around here. That would be a good plan. I actually waited a bit too long to lead my speed there. We're going to cross control a bit, skid it in, and drop the wheels. Going a little fast to the gear, I think. We got plenty of space to land anyway. Two green lights. Oops, a daisy. Not sure where our German friend is. Probably quite high up. It's probably some lone bomber. Oop. We may have slightly overshot the airfield. Oh shit, no, he's gonna strafe me. Motherfucker. No, that's friendly. So where's this German? We'll just park up here. Close enough, right guys? Good news, they will have the option for the SPO-15 as some ML's got it retrofitted. Yes. I mean, I'll probably still fly with the 10 sometimes, but yeah, that's good. I'm glad we have the option. Really glad we have the option. Same for chaff and flares? Okay. When it comes out, the first thing I'm going to do is go up to like an F-15 or a Hornet. Or maybe even a Tomcat. Draw up alongside him, right? Wing to wing. And just be like, hey dude, watch this. Fucking jam the wing sweep into 72 degrees. And just open the fucking throttle. I don't actually know where this guy is at all. Okay, so that's the runway there. Ah, there he is. Hopefully it's just the one German. And hopefully it's some kind of sitting target. Oh shit, no. That is a 190, I think. And I'm now damaged. See where he's gone. I think he did have one of my teammates on him, but it's small comfort.
Right, new plane it is. That was a bit annoying. Do we trust the landing gear? Might as well. At least now I know which end is the active. This end. That was very rude of him. Fly from the same place. I think he's gone home. Hopefully. 60s fighter design is fun. None of this fuel efficiency, just how much faster than Mark II can it go? Yeah, exactly. That's my jam. Who needs fuel when you have speed? Yeah, I mean, that's a rather unconventional method of braking, and I know someone who'd probably be deeply upset if he saw you say that. Can we get some left rudder in here, please? There we go. I mean, it does belly land very, very well. I will definitely say that about the F-14. Why is my rudder doing this again? There we go. Go to the field warehouses, I guess. engines need to be replaced anyways after the fights I tend to have. Me in the MiG-21. I am on the secondary afterburner all the fucking time. Every minute of that is equivalent to an engine hour. So, at a 3-minute usage limit in service, I'm usually on it until the fuel runs out, basically. So I think I might do another flight or two, depending on how long it takes me to get shot down or crash or just run out of fuel. Because I'm starting to get hungry, so I need to get myself some dinner pretty soon. For anyone here who isn't in my Discord or just didn't notice the announcement, I may or may not be streaming tomorrow. I got a job interview just before I would normally start. So I want to make sure I'm in the right kind of, or at the right level of preparation for that. So I might not stream, just focus on getting that knocked out of the park, and then I'm going to be away throughout the week as well, so I'm visiting family. Still be on Twitch, just won't be streaming myself. You'll probably catch me in Tawny's chat and some of the other guys throughout the day. Oh, hello. Someone did something. Fez, thanks for the resub, dude. Good to see you still here. We really need to do some more armor at some point. I miss that. I really do. 345th had an overthrow playthrough going for a while with our mod pack, which is quite good. The problem is that the overthrow save bugged out and swallowed the or like the AI wouldn't spawn properly and it ate the mission save, so that died on its ass, sadly. Just as I was starting to enjoy it. It's 0505. He used a very rude word to describe the Germans, but apparently they're above our tanks. He's using a lot of, well, not rude words in themselves, but he's using a lot of slurs, basically, which is nice. Lovely. I could translate for you guys, but I don't want to get TOS'd. What I will say is one of the things he just claimed would be over the tanks will be over the tanks in approximately how long it takes me to fly there. Yeah, he's not happy with a 110. And he's referring to that 110 in a particular fashion. I wish it was Jammer, because I hope that guy gets his fucking ass kicked. Absolute fucking dickhead. Who is it? Red strap-ons, XXL. Well, there you go. I mean, that kind of says it all, hey? Bad I want to learn Russian and German just for flight sims. The reason I know any Russian and German at all is because of Red Orchestra. I'm glad that everyone else in the server seems to understand what a shithead he is and a talking crap. I just wish it was directed specifically at him, not at Russians in general, because I mean, at that point it's not really much better than what he's doing. Oh god, now we got the fucking clean Wehrmacht squad on the German side. Let's just not look at chat. I don't want to turn it off in the menu, but I need my HUD on so I can see what position my flaps and shit are at. Let's just not look at chat for a while.
really should have been checking my 6 for like any point in the last fucking 20 minutes, hey? Might well be. Thing is, they're over the tanks, they're probably going to be pretty close to the deck. I'm not sure I'm going to see them from up here. Oh, now he's asking. He's asking where the fighters are. Hello, what are you? I don't know, but let's go have a... Oh, I think I have a suspicion what you are. Hopefully you don't have friends. Oh, hang on, I see 2. Okay, we're going to side slip down because I don't want to overspeed. But there's something under me here, and then there's another... Looked like a twin, so probably a 110 or maybe a Henschel that flew off the other way. I did definitely see an aircraft under me here, but I have no idea where he's gone. Oh, there he is. They're both here. We'll go for this one first. Looks like a 110. It is a 110. No idea if I hit him or not. Tail's clear for now. At least I know Jammer's not on, so I know it's not him. I don't know how good the other 110 pilots that play on here are. Probably not as good. Okay, the other guy's falling in behind him. Probably he's trying to... I don't know if he's shooting ground targets still, or if he's trying to drag me. Here we go. Here we go. Just try not to get zapped by the gunner. Okay, he's missing a piece. I'm leaking fuel, but that's alright. Oh shit. He has friends. Several of them. Let's get skinny. Junkers. Try and get a squirt at him before I get shot down. You got him. 110's on me. Don't know where the 109s are gone. Oh, shit, there's one. Well, that was a 190, I think. This 110 can't maintain a turn with me. Oh. Oh. No. That was close, but no. Still haven't quite learnt to avoid spinning in the act, but we're getting there. Oh shit, this is dangerous. Yeah, there it goes. There it goes. We got one. We got a Junkers. And we damaged a 110. Nice thing about this, they're getting each other's way. Yeah, those 109s really should have finished me off much sooner than that, but I think they were just all blocking each other. We're gonna fly again from Olshanets. We're gonna hope that we don't get bombed or shot down after we take off. Like I said, I could tell you what he's saying, and none of it's very polite. If I see him, I'll fucking shoot him down as well. Am I game frozen or something? There we go. One flap off trailing fuel. I don't know if I damaged his engine or anything, but he was definitely trailing fuel, or it could have been coolant. I think it was fuel. It looks white, so fuel's white, coolant's kind of a bluish teal color. So you had one flap off, trailing something. Despite the rate of fire, I still think the Axe-7's undergunned if I had 430s instead of 2. Yeah, see, I prefer the Spitfire's armament, even though a lot of people don't like wing guns. I don't mind them. For something like the Axe-7, if it had 50 cals instead of the 7.62s, it'd be fine. If it had a pair of 20 mils and a single machine gun, it'd be fine, but it's just... Hang on, are they 50 cals? Oh. I don't know, they feel like 7.62s to me. Maybe that's just because I never hit anything with them. Oh, fuck me, he is actually circling around our airfield. Right. Scramble! Who's who here? Smoky Boy's probably friendly. That's the German. That looks like a 110 from here. Occurred to me in that last flight, I don't think I ever remembered to dial my mixture back, so they probably saw me coming in. That's not a 110, it's single engine. It's probably that fucking 190 again. Come down here and play with me, dickhead. I want some late war yaks. I still stand by. I want a fucking yak 9U. That would be just so beautiful. Please give. I know I'm not going to be able to catch this guy unless he does something profoundly stupid, but if I can at least force him away from the airfield, it might buy other guys some time. Get off the ground, get up here. I know where that team is, they're all over fucking tanks at the moment. Hang on, I think I'm actually catching up to him slowly. It's hard to tell, I might be. If I am, he's really, really bad. He should be easily getting away from me here. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. That's it, you come down here, you start maneuvering, buddy. Start maneuvering. Please, make my day. Just gotta make sure he doesn't turn around on me while I'm not paying, or like while I can't tell which way he's facing. He's away from me at the moment, but if he turns in on me, and I don't notice, I'm in trouble. There's the airfield. See, I'm just too far away. If I was a little closer, I could at least put some shots across his front to try and scare him. But there's no way I'd get them anywhere near him at this distance. And yeah, no one liked the early ones. They pretty much got relegated to ground attack right away. Because the Allison just wasn't cut out for the job. Good airframe, bad engine. That and the early Mustang had the typical American problem of terrible fucking canopy framing. There we go. There's the turn. Come on, buddy. If he is a 190, and I believe he is, he can dive away from me pretty easily. I just gotta make sure he doesn't bait me into ripping my control surfaces. Which he's about to do. I'm gonna put a little bit of slip on. Back on the power. Actually lost sight of him somehow. Where the fuck is he? There he is. Right off my nose. Yeah. Come here. I feel like I'm getting closer to him. Barely, but... Oh, no, there we go. Oof. Don't quite have the range. If I can persuade him to get into a bunch of maneuvers to slow him down. I don't think he's dumb enough to start turning hard, but I am slowly closing. Oh, he is dumb! Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Come to me, buddy. Just gotta keep eyes on him. Out of cannon, unfortunately, but he's leaking something. What an idiot! What an absolute idiot! Oh my lord. I couldn't help myself, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I could not help it. After him hanging around the airfield for so long, vulching people, could not fucking help it. Fuck that guy. Oh my god. That was also the Luftwaffe, not Nazi guy? Oh good. Excellent. I'm glad he made a brilliant showing for himself there by maneuver killing himself in a fucking FW-190 after letting a Yak-7 close... That's a bizarre glitch. After letting a Yak-7 close up enough to kill him. Oh, I got the kill on someone. That must have been that 110. So that gives us 3 kills. Just about one of everything. 3 kills for 1 death, I'll take it. So 2 in 1 life and oh, he quit. The shame was too much. I don't know why the trees are suddenly disappearing on me. I'm not about that strafing airfield's life. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. I'd rather shoot them down when they're in the air. It's more fun. And besides, I don't want to... After gloating so much about killing that guy, I don't want to then go and do the same thing myself, because I'm sure I will manage to do the same thing myself. Just pull out my fucking nabs on so I can see I'm landing. I think that other guy was calling someone else out, not me. I think I kind of interjected between like 3 different arguments to talk shit on that guy. Posted a funny anecdote about Soviet canned beef earlier while you were busy fighting. I'll check that out in a minute. I can't believe that actually worked. He was like a 190, bro. He should outrun me. Like he just run, That's all he had to do, run. Or when he was allowed to just dive. Like, how do you let a Yak 7 catch up with a 190? Then let him shoot you by pulling a beautiful big turn across his nose so he can get a really nice deflection shot. Like if I had any cannon left there, that would have probably ripped his wing off there. But then, he realised he had a fuel leak and he panicked and flew himself into a fucking bulker. Into one of those little chalk cliffs. Seemed like he wanted you to overshoot him. Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to do, but like, I fly a Mirage in DCS. I know what that looks like. I know what it looks like when someone's trying to bait and overshoot because they can't get me to do it there. And because I do it so much to people, so like... I recognize someone trying to bait and overshoot. It's not going to work on me. Let's catch up. We'll go in the same plane. Hey Red, what aircraft are you in? What's the tail number? Yeah, squadron markings would be really nice. I'm surprised they're not in the game already, to be fair, since they were such a big thing in IL-2, like the original IL-2. I really hope they add them. Didn't like the P-47s much. Makes sense, it's not really suited to what they were doing. I mean, it tanks damage well, which is great for them, but... Again, really? Really? Okay, if you want to do this again, Germans, that's fine. MiG-3 has a pair of 50s or 220mm. It can also outdive and performs equally, if not better than 109s. Yeah, I'm really liking the MiG-3 after my flight earlier. Both Mustangs and Spitfires are stopgaps for our Air Force after World War II here in Sweden, when super should photo recon Spitfires in Soviet airspace until MiG-15 showed up in numbers in 1950. That Spitfire book I've got has like a whole bunch of different things in it about the PRU Spitfires in RAF service, which is really interesting to read. Both high and low level. I don't see any flak bursts. They're probably up above the clouds or something. When you forget to pull your gear up, I could have sworn I pulled it up. Oh, I fat fingered and hit H instead. That would explain a few things. I'm a bit slow. That's why it's overheating. I was climbing too steeply, not at my best climb speed. Oh hello. Fucking vultures again. Deal with you in a minute. Yep, they're over both our airfields. Highly skilled players on the German team tonight. Just gonna belly it, fuck it. They're over both our airfields. English is really hard, right? Who was that? Interesting, it didn't credit anyone for shooting me down, which is nice, because I technically landed at the airfield, so he can suck my dick. I mean, oops, I'm not a toxic screamer. But yeah, no kill for him. A lot of the really good pilots in this fly the P-39. Look, Krupinski is really good with it. Atomic and some of the other guys fly it a lot too, so... I'm just gonna chat shit, fuck it. Everyone else is. Sirens have stopped going off, so he's probably run off a bit. Should give me a chance to get back in the air. Vulture myself, but it's usually in DCS when we need to suppress an airfield to protect our attackers. Yeah, somewhere like DDCS, that's totally excusable, right? One of the big boy servers like DDCS or Tor on here, it's totally understandable. But in this case, why? Like, it's just somebody trying to get easy kills. There's nothing to actually really gain from it. Well, I guess there is. You'll run them out of aircraft faster until they just stop spawning there, but like, there's no actual ground game, right, on Wings of Liberty. There's just static ground targets, but there's no real ground game, so there's no point fucking stopping them from spawning at a particular airfield, because they'll just spawn in somewhere else, right? If that makes any sense, I don't know. My brain's not working too good at the moment. Oh, look, he's back. We're gonna climb out to the fucking, what direction is this? South, I guess. Don't see any flak going up either. Might turn around and head for the tanks. That's what, west-northwest. Yeah, I mean, exactly though. That's something that works in a campaign server, but on this, there's no real objectives beyond go here, bomb this, right? And you're just diverting aircraft from actually defending your objectives or attacking the enemy's objectives to fucking strafe guys as they take off. Which will eventually just make them spawn somewhere else, or eventually you'll get shot down because you're, you know, that 190 and so bad at flying. But even a guy in a yak can kill you. Two 190s over the tanks, apparently. According to our anti-Semitic, homophobic, transphobic, and everything else phobic Russian scout over there. So watch out. I think that other guy's hanging around near the airfield, but not actually close enough to get shot at, so we're just gonna leave it. Not my problem anymore. I got off the ground safely this time. I'm glad that he didn't get the kill for me bellying on the runway though. It's a handy trick to remember next time somebody does that. Our airfield down there. Okay. Some 190s. Just southeast of the tanks from the sounds of it. Catch you later. Want to grab some sleep so I can fly with the Europeans this morning? No worries, man. Thanks for stopping by. I'm probably going to be hopping off myself pretty soon. Maybe after this flight. I do need some dinner. In fact, I've got to go buy dinner. So, yeah, I think this might be my last flight, regardless of the outcome. But it's definitely been a pretty interesting stream. I don't know if I'd say chill, considering I ended up ranting about half of it, but hey, we shot some people down, we embarrassed some terrible fucking 190 pilot. That's good enough for me. It's definitely good enough for me. There's still one of them hanging around Olshanets. Again, not my problem anymore. They're definitely around our tanks. I'm hoping... They probably have too many players for this to be the case, but I'm hoping that our attack aircraft dealing with their warehouses have drawn off the fighters. Between that and the vulching. So I'm hoping there'll be some unescorted 110s or Junkers or Henschels hanging around. If Jammer was on, I would not go anywhere near a Henschel, but since it's not him, I'm pretty confident I can kill one of them without getting myself too shot full of holes. It's going to dip slightly below the clouds here so I can see the ground a little better. Look for some traces. So the tank should be more or less under me at the moment. Well, there's a big fuck-off bomb crater right there. Oh, there's one. There's two. I'm watching my airspeed. They probably realise I'm here. Please be twin-engined. Okay, one's shot off in the distance. I'm going to go for the closer guy, I think. Looks like a 110. It is a 110. Something else up here. I'm hoping that's one of ours. Oh, might be one of theirs. There's a hit. I'm glad he didn't quite turn into me there. Shit, I got something on me. He's got his flaps down. Oh, yep. I think we got a friendly here helping us. He's on a 109. That was a bad aim burst there. Okay, he's bled all his energy. He's going to have to run. That's my tail. Good for now. Shit, not anymore. Ah, fuck. Yeah, I screwed up there. Can't tell who's in front of me right now. Okay. 110's going into a hammerhead. My tail's okay for now. We're going to open our lid since I'm going to need to jump out shortly. That's one 110 on my left. There's another off my front. Oh my god, there's so many Germans here. You know what? Fuck getting food. We're going to commit to this. I'm going to stick around and I'm going to come back here as soon as I get a new aircraft. Whether or not I survive this, I guess we'll see. Just gonna pull the flaps for now for airspeed. Oh, drag bombing attempt there from that guy. I got one on me. Engine damaged. Back on me, or that or there were two on me, I'm not sure. Sure would be nice if I had more teammates here. Yeah, no. There's too many Germans. I think there might only be one or two of us here against basically their entire team. Gonna keep fighting until the engine quits or until I get killed, basically. Fuck him. It's a 109. If I'd noticed him earlier, I might have popped him. Oh, there goes the wing. Ah, dear. Okay, we'll do one more flight, yeah? One more flight. So we'll take off from Olshanets. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to click. That is not what I wanted to click. Why did my music stop? There we go. Yak again. Wow, chat's lovely and toxic this time of night, apparently. So I landed at least 1 or 2 hits on that 110. I saw a cannon shell go off, but I don't think it really had much effect, unfortunately. See, we got a lot of guys going attacker. What we really need right now is more fighters over those tanks. We really need more fighters over those tanks. I love when someone tries to correct someone else's English but fucks it up themselves. Always makes me giggle. I'll still take it. They're still attacking the airfields too. Oh, that's the forward airfield. We'll check out tanks. If it looks like it's a bit too much of a fucking mess down there again, I might skip the tanks and go for the airfield, since I know there's at least at least 2 Germans over there. I'd rather catch 1 or 2 unescorted 110s. I can fight 110s now, unless it's someone really good. Like, the average 110 I can beat in this thing at low level, as long as I get the drop on them. And I keep forgetting my fuel mixture. There we go. Don't want to be too smoky. Still attacking the tanks. 0503 now. Oh, I guess the tanks do actually advance. There might be a vague hint of a ground game here. So, let's go for that airfield. I want to stay over our side of the lines if possible, because I know the Germans have a lot more fighters in the air at the moment. So if I'm going to get shot down, I'd rather be over friendly territory, or at least very, very close to the front. At the factory, there are lots of assholes. South. About 4. Okay. South Blue Factory, which I guess means warehouses in this context. Oop, may have been cooking the engine slightly. Okay, the airfield is under me here. Sorry, 4 to 6 apparently over there. So that is way more than I can handle by myself. We're not going there. What we are going to do is just quickly take a peek around here, because I know someone was attacking it. If he's still here, we'll dive on him. If he's not still here, we'll head somewhere else, probably up over the tanks. Oh, I got a kill on someone. Must have been that 110 I damaged. I don't know why I got credited. I didn't think I damaged him that badly. I saw a single cannon shell go in on his on the inboard side of his, I think it was his left wing. Maybe he developed a fuel or an oil leak or something later on. Who knows? Or he just fucked up and killed himself and I got credited as the last person that damaged him. Okay. I see nothing over this airfield. 4 kilometers, so that's probably still over the factory. Three FW-190s, okay. So where they are right now, they've got 3 190s about 4k, so it's not here, thankfully. We'll start heading southwest. We're going to have to cross the lines, I think. Let's make sure I'm on my correct supercharger gear, which I am. I think I'm going to have to take a break regardless after this, because aside from the fact I want to eat, I'm also starting to get cramps in my wrist. My desk setup is not very convenient at the moment, so I can't fly for extended periods without fucking my wrist up. Really wish I'd do something about the texture pop in this game.
hello. Hello. 2 aircraft. Not sure what they are. Getting that cloud bank off my nose. I think they're heading towards me. Yes, they are. That is 109. Turning away from me. He hasn't noticed yet. Can I hit him, please? I really need to work on my marksmanship in this game, holy shit. Just gonna try and force an overshoot here. I know he had a friend, I just don't know what it was. Oh, we're gonna go over the top. Drop back in. Tail's clear for now. Shit, where is he? There he is. Still close. Gone out of ammo. It's my machine guns, I think? Alright. Go over. Got a kill. I need to get the fuck out now, because there were other aircraft around. I don't know which team they were on. I think they may have been... Shit, no, too late. We spun it, because we got a bit heavy-footed. Okay, it's another 109. Come here. I'm nearly out of ammo, though. I think that may have been a 110 with them, or it could have been a Junkers 88. Something's shooting at me. Hard to tell what. Okay, there's the 109. Oh, there's a fucking fight down here. I stumbled into a fucking fight. Okay. Something up there, I think. Just for a second I saw something. Okay, so we're on a 109. He's on probably one of our guys, or it could be a second 109 in front of him, it's hard to see. Is this a yak? Yeah, no, that's a yak, okay. So the 109 is right here. And that's another German, maybe a 110 that the yak's on. Need him to bait this guy out. See if I can scare the 109 into breaking off. Check my tail. Oh shit, I got a tail. Which direction am I going? East. Good, good, good. We're just gonna pull the flaps up and fucking run. I'm low on ammo. I'm a bit damaged. I'm not doing this. Can't see where that guy's gone. Just gonna fucking flog it out of here on the deck. Still got something on me.
he break off? Yeah, I think he did. Or he's losing interest. Maybe he's realised I'm trying to drag him back into our territory. How's my fuel? Let's see that tank. It's okay, but I'm nearly out of machine gun. I'm quite low on cannon, so I'm just going to go back and land. And I think I'll call it a stream there, as much as I'd like to come back and dunk on this guy. I think he's going to the airfield. I would actually land at the forward airfield if I didn't see him going that way. I think the Germans are trying to get an attack in on it. So head back to Olshanets and land, and we will call that a stream. So it's been a pretty successful one. 5 kills right now for 2 deaths. We're going to come off the power, but I don't think I'm being chased anymore. Yeah, I'm good. I may have lost my rudder cables. Yep, we got no rudder cables, and we got no rudder trim in this thing, so this is going to be a little interesting. Manageable, but a bit interesting. Oh shit, hello. Let's go investigate. It's probably an A20. Yeah, that's an A20. Tall tail fin. So he's outbound. Tail's still good. Usual Russian bias BS on this plane. Oh boy. Please tell me more about this Russian bias. I wonder if he was one of the 109s trying to turn-fight me low down. Technically, in the hands of a good pilot, the 109 Friedrich, and I think the early Gustav, can actually turn with a Yak 1 and a Yak 7, but you have to know what you're doing, which maybe some of these Germans don't, and that's why they're strafing our airfields. Nearly back. Nearly home. How's our engine looking? Pretty healthy. Oh, maybe not. Maybe fucking not. Unless that's ground fire from idiots shooting each other. We'll come in fast and do a flyby so I can see what's going on before I try and land. Might have just been an A20 gunner testing his weapons, as they tend to. Yeah, I think we're good. I think it was just random gunner mucking around. They do that, especially in this server. Put on fuel. And take too much damage in the wings, so I should be good to drop my gear. My flaps obviously work because I was using those in combat. Two green lights. Oops-a-daisy. Of course, as I said, I have no rudder, so... yeah, no rudder at all. I've only got the differential braking here to steer, so... gotta get myself nice and slow so I can actually avoid crashing into a tree or another plane. I really don't want to get involved in whatever bullshit these two have got going on. I don't want to be a toxic streamer, but this fucking Hazza guy, for going on about spelling and grammar, has atrocious English. Something something, shitty state of the British public education system, something something. Alright. Well, that went well. I'm definitely calling today a success. Just in this mission alone, 5 kills for 2 deaths. I'll take it. We may well get credit for another after we... well, it won't award it after I leave the server, I guess. But it's possible I might technically be awarded another, because a lot of these guys seem to be smacking into the ground on the way home. Which is, like, I was getting credited for kills in the previous flight constantly throughout this. Alright, so I'm going to go get me some dinner, and I'm going to find somewhere I can send you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. I certainly had fun. I'll just close the game, otherwise it's going to keep trying to maximize itself. Every time I put in any kind of control input, it brings the IL-2 window back to focus, which I really wish it didn't. Okay, who's on? Pom is on, and he is doing his DDCS thing by the looks of it, but I think I might send you guys over to Wilbur, who is a fellow Albertan. He's just come back to Twitch fairly recently from a bit of a break. He does all sorts of stuff, a lot of VR games. He's playing Dead by Daylight at the moment, so I think I'll send you guys over there and say hi to him, and then I'm gonna duck out and grab some food. Just going to do a host, I think, since there's not too many people left at this hour. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you later.